And we wish to acknowledge the presence of, okay na? Didinig. Senator Pangilinan, Senator Binay, and Senator Marcos. Okay. And this is a public hearing of the Senate Committee on Finance, Subcommittee B, of which I chair. Today's public hearing will tackle the Department of Agriculture, Bayanihan 1 and Bayanihan 2 budget. Okay. So we acknowledge the presence of our resource persons. Okay, we start with our Secretary of Agriculture, Secretary William Dar, and then Undersecretary and Chief of Staff, Ms. Cheryl Marie Natividad Caballero, Undersecretary for Operation and Agri-Fisheries Mechanization, Engineer Ariel Kayanan. Can you please turn off? Pwede bang i-turn off yung maingay? Sino ba yung maingay? You mute your computer because you're making so many noises. Okay, Engineer Ariel Kayanan, Undersecretary for Operations and Agri-Fisheries Mechanization, Undersecretary for Policy and Planning, Mr. Rodolfo Vicera, Undersecretary for Livestock, National Livestock Development Program, Dr. William Medrano, Undersecretary for Administration and Finance, Mr. Roldan Gorgonio, Undersecretary for Regulation, Mr. Samsamin Ampatuan, Undersecretary for High Value Crops and Rural Credit, Ms. Evelyn Labiña, Undersecretary for Special Concern, Mr. Waldo R. Carpio. Assistant Secretary Designate for Planning and Project Development, Concurrent Director Planning and Monitoring Service, Ms. Agnes Catherine Miranda. Okay. DA Spokesperson, Head Strategic Communication Office, Mr. Noel Reyes. Chief Budget Division, Ms. Telma Tolentino. Senior Special Technical Assistant, National Corn Program, Dr. Lorenzo Carangian. And Director, Ms. Bernadette San Juan. National Organic Agriculture Program. The Director, Agriculture Credit Policy Council, Ms. Jocelyn Alma Badiola. Director, Bureau of Plant Industry, Mr. George Colaste. Director, Bureau of Animal Industry, Dr. Ronnie Domingo. The Administrator, Philippine Coconut Authority, General Benjamin Madrigal Jr. Assistant Director, Bureau of Agricultural Research, Ms. Digna Sandoval. Director, Bureau of Agriculture and Fisheries Engineering, Engineer Ario de Rico. Okay. Director, Bureau of Agriculture and Fisheries Standard, Mr. Vivencio Mamaril. OIC, Director of Philippine Council for Agriculture and Fishery, Dr. Lita Batad. OIC Director, Philippine Carabao Center, Dr. Claro Mingala. Administration, National Dairy Authority, Ms. Marilyn Mabale. General Manager, Philippine Fisheries Development Authority, Attorney Glenn Pangapalan. And Regional Executive Director, Ilocos Region, Mr. Nestor Domenden. DA, Regional Executive Director, Region 2, Mr. Narciso Edilio, with K. S. Olivas, and what else? No more? That's all. So it's only Director, Region 1 and 2. Wala na to. Okay. So we proceed with our presentation. May I now call on Secretary Dar to speak and present the Bayanihan 1 and 2 funds. Okay.
Salamat po. Thank you very much, Honorable Senator Cynthia Villar, Chair of the Committee on Finance, Subcommittee B, and Chair of the Committee on Agriculture and Food. Distinguished members of the committee, fellow servant leaders and workers, in government. Ladies and gentlemen, maganda at masaganang umaga po sa ating lahat. Nothing has quite prepared us for the global crisis that emanated from the COVID-19 pandemic, which is by far the worst global adversity faced by this generation, not only because it has claimed so many precious lives, but also it altered the world around us as we know it, affecting every aspect of our existence. In particular, the protracted pandemic has highlighted the urgent need to improve and scale up our food production efforts, including that of the supply chain efficiencies, to keep agriculture going and ensure nutritious and affordable food for our people and increase incomes for our farmers and fishers. It does not help that the country's farming and fisheries sector has been in a critical stage even before the pandemic, as shown by its erratic growth in previous decades due to low farm productivity, among other factors. The Philippine Statistics Authority said the country's rural poverty incidence remains high at 30%. And with the advent of climate change, increased global competition, and COVID-19 pandemic, the more Filipino farmers, fisherfolk, and agripreneurs become most vulnerable, making them less food secure and less able to compete. The magnitude of our responses must therefore match the scale of these challenges. They should be comprehensive, science-based, inclusive, and innovative to allow us build efficient and resilient food production and distribution systems to feed our growing population now and in the future. Madam Chair, the call of the times is clear. We must transform our food systems to make them more resilient, sustainable, and equitable. The transformation of Philippine agriculture into a dynamic, high-growth sector is essential for the country. It is the surest way if we are to speed up our economic recovery from the pandemic and achieve a meaningful poverty reduction and inclusive growth. The Bayanihan 1 and Bayanihan 2 budgetary allocations for the agri-fishery sector provides us the chance to achieve this. As will be discussed more thoroughly later by Yusek Ariel Kayanan, the 8.5 billion Bayanihan 1 budget allocated to us is serving rice farmers provided with fertilizer and seed support during the last wet season, as well as the distribution of high-yield hybrid rice seeds as part of our rice resiliency project. The recently signed Bayanihan 2 budget of 24 billion, on the other hand, is allocated for agri-fishery productivity enhancement projects, income enhancement projects, and social protection and amelioration projects. I will be requesting, Madam Chair, the details to be presented by Undersecretary Ching Natividad, and we are in the midst of finalizing the details of this 24 billion project allocation. In particular, the additional fund will partly bankroll the Duterte administration's plant program to ensure food security and continuous productivity of the agri-fishery sector. And part of it will be allocated for direct cash subsidies, zero interest loans, and other forms of assistance to qualified agri-fishery enterprises, farmers, and fisherfolk under the Farmers Registry or RSBSA and Farmers Cooperatives and Associations, FCAs. We therefore thank you, Madam Chair, and other lawmakers for granting us this timely and necessary funding support. Rest assured that we have set in place sufficient institutional mechanisms and governance reforms to ensure proper implementation, monitoring, and evaluation of the plant program and other agri-fishery policies, programs, and projects on the ground. Again, to highlight, we are implementing good governance, and everyone in the Department of Agriculture has now pledged their covenant on no to corruption. As we continue our struggle against the pandemic, we can no longer go back to the old business as usual mode. Instead, we have been focusing our efforts on the three principal strategies of plant program as we journey into the new normal, namely survive, reboot, and grow. The campaign for food security and beating back any threatening food shortage at this crucial period involved objectives such as modernizing and industrializing the agricultural sector, export promotion, farm consolidation and clustering, and infrastructure development. And we have every reason to be optimistic. Despite the social paralysis and economic slowdown, the pandemic has wrought the agriculture sector showed its relative strength, even growing by 1.6% in the second quarter of the year. As NEDA Secretary Carl Chua puts it, agriculture is a growth engine and is crucial to recovery, food security, and creating a more inclusive economy. We at the Department of Agriculture stand ready to seize this opportunity. Again, gusto kong magpasalamat sa ating minamahal na senadora sa lahat po na suporta sa Department of Agriculture. Thank you, Madam Chair. At this point, Madam Chair, if I can request Undersecretary for Operations, Yusek Ariel Kayanan, to present the details of the Bayanihan 1 project.
Yusek Kayanan, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. Also, thank you very much, Madam Chair, the Honorable Senator. Good morning. Before you, we are honored to present the details of the interventions for Bayanihan, particularly Bayanihan 1 COVID-19 response program. Madam Chair, the COVID-19 pandemic has made producing food locally extremely necessary. Expanding production areas and increasing levels of productivities were needed to increase food supply, availability, and affordability. To adapt to the environment brought about by the challenge of the pandemic, the department immediately refocused its fiscal year 2020 budget to implement interventions to ensure adequate, accessible, and affordable food to millions of Filipino households, as well as to mobilize assistance and to support to our farmers and fisherfolks. A total of 17.6 billion of fund was made available for COVID-19 response, of which 8.5 billion additional fund was released for the Rice Resiliency Program, or RRP for brevity. Meanwhile, 9.1 billion was sourced within the DA budget, which were attributed and refocused as immediate response against COVID-19. Of the total COVID-related releases for the Department of Agriculture, 10.9 billion or 76.98% has already been disbursed as of September 30 of the current year. For the implementation of the Rice Resiliency Program, Expanded Sure Aid Program, Cash Assistance Program, and Banner Program for Rice, Corn, High Value Crops Development, National Organic Agriculture, and fisheries, and other support programs also, Madam Chair. It is worth noting that out of the total of 70.6 billion releases, 80% of which, or 14.2 billion, has been obligated by the operating units. 77% or 10.9 billion of which has been disbursed by the operating units. And 52% or 9.1 billion sourced from the regular agency budget was attributed and refocused for various COVID responses mentioned in the previous what they call slide. Before you, Madam Chair, is the summary of the DA fiscal stimulus per agency and the respective status of utilization, namely OSEC, ACPC, BIFAR, NFRDI, PCC, pickup. Furthermore, Madam Chair, before you is a summary of the DA fiscal stimulus per major programs and corresponding status of utilization. Of the 9.1 billion COVID fund releases, there are sourced within regular agency budget. 7.2 billion or 79% was already obligated, while 5.8 billion or 81% of which was already disbursed, as mentioned, September 30 of the current year. For the additional 8.5 billion, Madam Chair, fund for the Rice Resiliency Program, 6.9 billion or 82% was already obligated, while 5 billion or 77% was already disbursed. Among the department's key COVID response is the RRP or Rice Resiliency Program, which aims for a higher rice sufficiency level and ensure its availability through increased productivity during the 2020 wet season by providing seeds and fertilizers. A total of 630,460 bags of seeds and 1,335,485 bags of fertilizers have already been distributed to 879,937 farmer beneficiaries. As of September 30, Madam Chair, a total of 5.016 billion or 72% has been disbursed by the RRP program. The DA, Madam Chair, has also implemented cash assistance program. Under the cash assistance program, the department rolled out program which grants 5,000 pesos to rice farmers through the financial subsidy to rice farmers or FSRF for brevity. Intended for rice farmers tilling 1 hectare of land or below. The effect, 535,076 farmers benefited from cash grants under the FSRF program. The expanded Sure Aid and Recovery Project provides zero-interest loans to marginalized small farmers and fisher folks and agri-based micro and small enterprises whose incomes were affected by the pandemic. As of September 30, Madam Chair, 2.275 billion has already been disbursed. Also, 49,929 SFF and 122 agri-MSMEs have been provided with loans of zero interest. That is precisely what the law intended to do, provision of credit, Madam Chair. The following are the COVID responses as attributed or refocused by various DA units, which are mentioned also in the previous slides. The National Rice Program distributed certified and hybrid seeds, inorganic fertilizers and soil ameliorants, and botanical pesticides to farmers' beneficiary. Training and other IEC activities were also conducted in compliance to the existing health protocols, which we do not want to miss, Madam Chair. Farm production-related machinery as well as equipment and post-harvest machineries were also...
Yusek,
Apo.
may I interject there? Why
Apo.
do you have to provide for extension support, education, and training when we gave a lot for that in the Rice Competitiveness Enhancement Fund. I cannot understand that.
Madam Chair, yung pong hindi
Please
po...
explain to me why we have to give there when we gave 1 billion for that in the Rice Competitiveness Enhancement Fund.
Madam
Why do
Chair,
you duplicate? Why do you duplicate? This is the National Rice Program. Sana i-compare nyo yung National Rice Program at saka yung RCEP. Kung meron na sa RCEP, huwag nyo nang ulitin, ibigay nyo doon sa others na kulang. Diba? Dapat ganon. Katulad nun, magbibigay kayo ng hybrid seed. Nagbigay na kami ng inbred seed. Sana merong 947 rice producing towns. Sana paghatian yun para hindi tayo duplication, di ba? Ayaw nyo ibigay sa akin ang listahan ng binibigyan nyo ng hybrid seeds. Ba't ayaw nyo ibigay? Para hatiin natin yung 947. Ilan ang bibigyan nyo ng hybrid at kami magbibigay ng inbred? Bakit ginugulo nyo? Baka yung binibigyan namin ng inbred, yun din ang binibigyan nyo ng inbred seeds. Magulo yun. Palagi ko sinasabi sa'yo that give me the list of the towns where you will give inbred so that we will not give, you will give hybrid so that we will not give inbred. Ayaw nyo ibigay sa amin ang listahan. Vague na vague kayo. Iyon ang complain ko sa inyo. Bago tayo nag-hearing na to, hinihingi ko sa inyo ang listahan. Wala kayong listahan na ibinigay sa akin. Hindi nyo magawa. Bakit ka magbibigay ng seeds tapos hindi mo magawa listahan kung sino binigyan mo ng seeds? Tapos sasabihin nyo na kayo na walang corruption. Ba't tayo kayo magbigay ng listahan kung talaga walang corruption? Iyon lang naman hinihingi ko sa inyo para paghatian nyo na kasi may RCEP tayo maliwanag dun Bibigyan nyo ng inbred seed from yung mga rice producing town that we have the Senate has identified na 947 towns. Hinihiling ko lang sa inyo, piliin nyo na yung may gusto ng hybrid at kunin nyo na yon para hindi na yun ang bibigyan ng inbred. Ba't ayaw sa akin ibigay ang listahan? Ang tagal-tagal kong hinihingi. Hindi ko naman kailangan to. Naandito na to Nung i-publish yung gagawin, ganito ka vague. I'm asking you for details. Huwag nyo akong ganituhin na bibigyan nyo ako na ganito ibinigay. Kanino ibinigay? Ba't ayaw nyo ibigay ang listahan? Ang tagal-tagal ko nang hinihingi yan. Walang nagbibigay ng listahan.
Madam Chair, you are precisely right po. Tama po yung sinabi nyo. Doon sa training po...
Ba't ka mag-training pa 1 billion na nasa training?
Wala pong...
Duplication na naman yan. Hindi natin malaman kung ano yung ginasta mo. Magkano ginasta mo dyan sa training na yan? At ano ginasta nung RCEP sa training? Nag-overlap tayo Yan ang miski dun sa ibang department, maliwanag tayo, wag tayo mag-overlap kasi yung National Rice Program at saka yung RCEP nag-overlap. In fairness do sa nag-implement ng RCEP, dapat maliwanag kung ano yung in-implement nila at ano yung in-implement nyo. Otherwise, doble.
Madam Chair, tama po yung lahat ng sinabi nyo. Yung pong IEC...
Tagal-tagal ko nang inihingi sa inyo yung listahan ng binibigyan nyo ng hybrid para sasabihin ko sa PhilRice na wag nang bigyan ng inbred. Diba? Ang laki-laki rin ang budget nyo sa hybrid hatian natin yung mga towns na yun. Ba't ayaw nyo ibigay sa akin ng listahan?
Ma'am, nag-submit as per din po sa planning, nag-submit daw po sila.
Wala silang isinasubmit hanggang ngayon. Walang sinasubmit. Kaya ako kahapon pa tumatawag kay Secretary Dar. Hindi ko naman kailangan niyang enumerate yung ganyan. Ibigay niyo sa akin kung kanino kayo nagbigay. Para checkin ko. Sasabihin ko sa PhilRice, huwag ka na magbigay ng inbred doon sa binigyan ng hybrid. Papiliin niyo yung mga rice producing tao. Ano gusto niyo? Hybrid or inbred? So yung PhilRice ang magbibigay ng inbred, kayo magbibigay ng hybrid. Di ba tama yun?
You are right po, Madam Chair. At
kaya nyo gawin?
I think ako po ang may na-miss ko pong sabihin na yung pong training...
Ang tagal ko nang hinihingi yan. I have long been requesting for the identification of hybrid rice area. Walang nagbibigay sa akin. Nagko-complain na nga ako kay Senator Angara. Bakit pag naghihingi kami ng report, ayaw kami bigyan ng report? Alam nyo, siguro
Ma-
si Secretary Dar, 1 year pa lang siyang secretary. I have to explain to him that when you discuss the budget, it's not about discussing the future budget. It's also about reviewing how the previous budget was spent. Katulad sa DNR. Ang mga tanong naman sa committee, hindi naman about the future budget. Tinatanong nila, what happened to the greening program? Bakit palaging failure yan? Yan ang tanong nila. What is this dolomite? Is this good? Is this bad? O hindi yung particular about the budget. Baka akala nyo, pag tayo nag-discuss ng budget, we will just talk about your budget in 2021. No, we will review how you disburse the budget of 2020. Diba? And other years. Oo. Ba't ayaw nyo magbigay ng report? Ba't kayo natatakot magbigay ng report?
Madam Chair, as
Wala kayo. At duda ko, forgive me. Kasi ba't ayaw kayo magbigay ng report? Baka hindi kayo nagdi-distribute ng hybrid seats sa nasabi nyo lang.
Madam Chair, binigay po sa ating data ng planning September 24
Hindi
po.
naman planning yan eh. Ano na yan eh. Implementation na yan eh. Nakalagay dyan, nag-distribute kayo ng hybrid seat. Why will you say planning?
Tapos po,
Sino nag-implement? Oh.
yung rice
Iba
program,
naman yung planning. Doon naman sa Bayanihan 2, hindi pa daw nila natatapos ang planning. Remember, Bayanihan 2 is after to December 19. May hindi nyo pa alam kung saan nyo dadalhin ng pera? December 19, that's 2.5 months from now. Tapos na yon. May hindi nyo pa alam kung saan dadalhin ng pera? Medyo there's something wrong. There's something wrong. I was just, nung ko pa sinasabi sa inyo, nung kayo publicize na National Rice Program, you will distribute hybrid seeds. Sabi ko, piliin na yung mga bayan na ang gusto hybrid seeds at wag nang bigyan ng inbred yon para meron tayong responsibility. Kasi ang mangyayari dyan, ano ginawa ng National Rice Program at ano ginawa ng RCEP? Tayo nag-o-overlap. Pareho budget eh. 9 billion ang budget ng National Rice Program, 10 billion ang budget ng RCEP. Hindi natin ma-distinguish kung ano ginawa ng National Rice Program at yung RCEP. So I thought that in the rice program, you will just choose what the RCEP did not do. And what are yung hindi ginawa ng RCEP? Walang hybrid seeds ang RCEP. So, yun, gagawin nyo yun. Pero sabihin nyo sa akin kung saan yung bayan ibibigay para hindi nabibigyan ng inbred seeds, di ba? Binigyan nyo na ng hybrid seeds. Mas mahal nga yung hybrid seeds eh. Oh. Ang mahal-mahal ng hybrid seeds. Yung inbred seeds is 38 pesos per kilo. Ang hybrid is 260 pesos per kilo. Oh. O di swerte na sila. Mas mahal ang seeds nila. Ba't bibigyan sila ng inbred? Diba? Hatiin natin yung listahan. Oo, para maayos tayo. Alam natin kung ano ginawa ng National Rice Program at ano ginawa ng RCEP, diba? Oh. Ngayon, nakalagay dyan, provision of agricultural equipment and facilities. Sino bibigyan nyo at sino bibigyan ng RCEP? Di pagkatian natin. Maybe yung binibigyan nyo ng hybrid, yun na rin ang bibigyan nyo ng equipment para maliwanag ang hybrid rice producing town at saka inbred seed rice producing town, di ba? Oh.
tama po, Madam Chair.
Bakit? Hindi ba tama yun? Sino bibigyan nyo ng fertilizer? Kailangan may listahan kasi magulo to. Kasi you can always say that you did a rice program, pero kung wala naman kayong ibibigay na listahan kung ano gagawin nyo doon, it's just rice program in name.
Yeah.
Yes, Madam Chair,
Kaya
tama
na magbigay ng detalye. Ba't sasabihin mo sa planning? Planning ba yun? Implementation yun eh. Oh.
Madam Chair, si ASEC Villacorta po signed ay naibigay po niya ng 24th of September kay Attorney Raymond Salagumba as per document po itong sinabit sa akin, Madam Chair.
Wala akong binibigay sa, ibig mo sabihin, binigay doon, hindi bibigay sa akin.
Yun po.
Ako chairman ng committee. Hindi bibigay sa akin. Walang binibigay sa akin eh. Let's call him. Tawagin mo yung sino ba yung Raymond? Yung ba yung aking secretary?
Attorney Raymond Saligumba po ang pangalan.
O
Madam.
sino siya? Ba't hindi niya ipinadala sa akin? Alam niya naman ang aking tumatawag ako sa kanya. Alam niya ang aking
I'm very sorry.
alam mo, ang aking email. O ba't hindi niya pinadala sa akin? Ba't niya ibibigay ito? Sino ba yon? Sino yon?
As per dito po sa Committee Chairperson of Agriculture and Food.
Tawagin mo ngayon. Naandyan yan. Tawagin mo. Ba't hindi binigay sa akin?
Yes, Madam Chair, we will po.
Tawagin nyo ngayon. Palabasin yung Raymond. Naandyan yan. Nakikinig yan. Kung committee secretary siya, wala siyang binigay sa akin. Palabasin nyo yan. Kasi ako, intay kasi maghihiring tayo. Gusto kong makita para makapag-aral ako. Wala kayong binigay. Ba't hindi nyo ibibigay sa akin? Alam nyo ang email ko. Natawag ako sa inyo eh. Ba't hindi sa akin ibibigay? Hindi binigay sa akin. Tawagan mo si Reggie. Sino yon? Ba't hindi binigay sa akin?
Sinend mo ngayon.
Ba't ngayon isa-send? Tawagin mo si Reggie. Kausapin ko. Ba't hindi isa-send sa akin? I don't think so. Tawagin mo si RBT.
Matagal na yan.
Kaya nga po yung machineries, hindi pwede mabigay yung mga hybrid. Kasi hindi pa rin
Yung region lang mamigray.
kung meron lang po tayo.
Right, National Rights Program na pareho ang budget. So sabi ko, paghatian nila kung ano gagawin ng National Rights Program at ano ang gagawin ng RCEP. Pwede bang hindi natin alam kung ano ang delineation? 9 billion ka, 10 billion ka. Sayang naman yung pera kung hindi i-delineate yan. Kung ikaw ang nag-manage, dapat i-divide mo yan.
Tama po kayo, Madam Chair. That is how we actually manage po yun. Nakaseparate po yung sa rice bowl.
Ba't hindi nyo pinadadala sa akin? Nung ko pa yan hinihingi sa inyo, matagal ko nang sinabi sa inyo na pag-ibahin nyo yung National Rice Program at yung RCEP. Paghatian natin kasi almost the same ang budget. Yung ginawa ng RCEP, i-claim nyo or yung ginawa nyo, i-claim ng RCEP, hindi yata tama yun. How do we do oversight like that?
Tama po kayo, Madam Chair. And I will be begging for your apology kung hindi po nakarating sa inyo. We will personally paabot po namin sa inyo, Madam Chair.
At saka dapat, sinabi nyo na sa akin, ano bang mga yung 947 rice producing town, pinili nyo na yun, bibigyan nyo ng hybrid. Tanungin nyo na sila, sino may gusto ng hybrid? Atat na atat kayo dyan sa hybrid, di sana tinanong nyo kung sino may gusto ng hybrid. At yung pinagpilian, yun ang bigyan ng inbred.
You are right po, Madam Chair. That is the way kung paano po namin in-implement po ito, Madam Chair.
Nagagalit na ako dyan kasi sobra na yan. Palagi na lang ganyan Palagi na lang ganyan yung mga program na yan. Wala akong nakikita na nangyayari. Tapos, doon sa rice, ba't nung ako chairman nung kabilang administrasyon, sabi nila, ang production daw ng rice, 93% of local demand. Sa inyo, sabi nyo, 87%, which is which? And yet, sinasabi nyo na nag-grow under your administration. Which is which? Hindi malinaw yon. Kung ano talaga ang percentage ng production versus local demand. Tapos, sasabihin nyo na ganon, 87% ang production. Bakit ganon ang importation natin? 2.5 million metric tons? Kasi pag kukunin mo yung shortage, hindi ganun kalaki shortage natin. Di sana sinabi nyo doon sa nagbibigay ng import permit na hindi sila mag-i-import ng ganun kalaki kasi ganito ang local production, ganito lang ang demand natin. O otherwise, ma-oversupply tayo. Di ba? O,
Yun po ang
sabihin nyo
ginawa.
na because tarification, but you can always invoke yung inyong phytosanitary and permit, di ba? To lessen.
Tama po kayo, Madam Chair. Yan po ang ginagawa po
Tapos,
natin.
hindi, sinasabi ko na sa inyo problema nyo. Tapos, ang dami-dami na namang co-op na nag-import ng rice. Oh. Pag co-op ang nag-import ng rice, tama ba yun na free of tariff?
Wala naman.
Ha? Tama ba yun?
Hindi po.
Ha?
Madam Chair, pag pina-check po natin, hindi po lahat po yata natataripahan po. Maski po.
Pati ang Pati ang co-op? Ang alam
Yes.
ko, free of tariff ang co-op.
Sorry po.
Liwanagin nyo yan.
Nagpa-check po tayo kay BOC, Madam Chair, and we will further validate it. It appears
You
po may...
validate that. Kasi
Yes, po,
nung
Madam
last administration, ginamit nila ang co-op as front ng mga traders para maka-import sila ng rice. Tapos, binigyan lang ng maliit yung co-op, tapos nag-smuggle sila in addition with their existing rice importation permit. Nung mag-smuggle sila, nahuli yung iba. So, nakulong yung co-op. Oh. Ngayon, sinasabi nila, pag nahuli daw uli yung mga co-op na yan, na hindi totoo, na sila may kailangan niya na rice na yan, makukulong sila. So, ipakukulong nyo yung mga rice co-op. Dahil yung iyong BPI, hindi niya alam yung mga ginagawang ganyan, na ginagawang front ang co-op. Ako nagbigay ng doon sa co-op Kasi nakulong humingi sa akin ng pambayad ng kanilang tawag doon, yung para sila makalabas pag nakulong sila. Oh. Ako nagbayad Sa awa ko O ngayon, ako na naman ang pagbabayarin nyo pag yan nakulong. Hello. Hybrid seeds. How we will distinguish from the regions? Ang sinasabi ko sa inyo, 947 producing towns. Aling towns ang binigyan nyo ng inbred seed para hindi ko na pabibigyan sa field rice yung binigyan nyo ng hybrid, hindi ko na pabibigyan sa field rice ng inbred. Diba? Paano namin ko region yon? Region ang isinabmit nyo Takot na takot kayo magdetalye. Bakit kayo natatakot magdetalye? Hindi ba pag namigay ka ng inbred, ng hybrid seed by town?
Meron po.
Ang binigay nila region how will we distinguish kung alin ang inbred? I told you, it's town. Para alam namin yung inbred seeds na bibigyan na town at yung bibigyan ng hybrid.
Madam Chair,
Region ang ibinigay ng tao nyo Ito nasa akin Kaya hindi nila binigay sa akin kasi region. Ano madidistinguish natin sa region? Ba't ayaw nyo detalyehin?
Madam Chair, as per dun po sa nag-submit, meron po siyang provincial down to the town level, and we will be...
Marami pang attachment.
Hindi nila binigay sa amin. Hindi binigay sa akin.
I am very sorry, Madam Chair.
Ilan ang ngayon, kung nakapag-submit kayo ng ganyan, ilan ang binigyan nyo ng inbred? Ilang bayan? Ilang bayan ang binigyan nyo ng hybrid? Ilang bayan?
Madam.
Kung gumawa ka ng report, alam mo, 947 producing town, ang binigyan ko ng hybrid, itong mga towns na to, ilan?
Ito yung total sa... Madam Chair, 495 po na...
So kung 947, ang bibigyan na lang ng field rice, 497 kayo. Ganun ba? D0, 14, 5, 8, 450 na lang ang bibigyan ng field rice. So madodoble namin ang bigay ng inbred kasi 450 towns na lang ang bibigyan. Tama ba yon?
Hindi po. Magkaiba yun.
Hindi po magkaiba po, Madam Chair. Naka-segregate po yan, Madam
Hindi
Chair.
nga, ibig sabihin, there are 947 producing towns. Sabi mo, ang binigyan mo ng hybrid, 497 towns. Diba? So, pag in-minus mo yun sa 947, that means ang bibigyan na lang namin ng inbred is 450 towns. Tama ba yun? So, madodoble na namin ang pagbibigay ng inbred kasi nangalahati na yung bibigyan namin ng inbred. Yun ang kasi sinabi ko na sa inyo, paghatian na natin eh. Oh, kasi gusto nyo hybrid, piliin nyo na yung mga towns na gusto ang hybrid, tapos yung inbred, kami na magbibigay kasi hindi nyo naman kayan lahat bigyan, di ba? Oh.
Tama pa yun, Madam Chair.
Ngayon. Sabi mo sa akin, 497 ang binigyan nyo. O di 450 na lang ang bibigyan namin. Tama ba yon?
Ibang municipalities yun.
Yun ang pinagagawa ko sa inyong matagal na eh. Na ibigay nyo sa akin kung alin town ang bibigyan nyo ng hybrid para sasabihin ko sa free rice, ito na lang yung town na bibigyan nyo ng inbred para mas maraming maibigay nila. Kasi sasabihin mo sa akin, ito, binigyan ko ng ganito. Hindi mo naman sasabihin sa akin kung kanino mo binigay. Anong bayan? Yun naman lang ang hinihingi ko. Kasi I cannot naman accept na ililista mong ganyan and I will believe it. We have to see. Diba? Kasi ang dami nating program. National Rice Program, National Corn Program, National Organic Program, National High Value Crop Program, National Fisheries Program, Livestock Program. Baka puro salita yan, wala namang ginagawa dyan. Gusto ko makita kung ano ginawa, ibigay sa akin kung saan lugar ginawa.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Madaling sabihin, di ba nung ko pa yan sinabi sa inyo na ito'y sagutin nyo, nilagay ko na dito, matagal na to, pagkapasa ng Bayanihan 2, inaralan ko na to, kasi tiningnan ko kung saan nyo dadali ng pera. So naggawa na ako ng mga question na sasagutin nyo with regards to Bayanihan 2. Hanggang ngayon, wala namang bumalik sa akin dito sa mga question na to. So, nagbigay ako ng list of question that DA have to answer with regards to Bayanihan 2. This was given after the Bayanihan 2 was passed. Pero ngayon, pag-uusapan na natin ang Bayanihan 2 and you have only 2.5 months to do it, and yet wala pa kayong sinasagot dito sa sinabi ko. Kasi I cannot believe na ito I gave a list of questions. 16 na question. Kasi yung mga sinulat nyo doon, hindi ko nga naiintindihan. Pina-explain ko sa inyo. Like RSBSA, Strat and Development Co, Maya, Ading, Farm and Fisheries Clustering and Consolidation, yung mga food processing nyo, saan nyo nilagay, yung packing houses nyo, saan nyo nilagay, yung rendering trucks nyo, saan nyo nilagay, yung mobile truck with deep well, saan nyo nilagay, yung reefer vans nyo, saan nyo nilagay. Napakadali naman sagutin ito, di ba? Kasi katulad ng reefer vans, 6 lang yon. Yung reefer vans nakalagay sa inyo, 20. Yung mobile truck with deep well driller, 6. Saan nyo nilagay yan? Rendering trucks, 2. Packing houses with cold storage for fruit and vegetable, 16. Food processing, 3. Ang lalaki ng budget nito eh. Tinatanong ko lang kung saan nilagay ito. Wala pang sumasagot sa akin hanggang ngayon. Nakalagay dito, aquaculture hatcheries, 500 million. Saan ang location at beneficiaries? Ito yung sinasabi ko kay Secretary Dar na ang sagot, nagpasa ng mga batas yung ating mga congressman, establishing hatcheries by legislation, pinasa namin. Hatcheries in their areas, tapos walang nai-implement. Ito, sabi nung sagot ng iyong BIFAR, wala daw silang budget. Ito, may 500 million budget dito eh. Ba't hindi nila sinagot ako dito? Sabi nila sa akin, wala daw budget. Ito, sa Bayanihan 2, 500 million. And one of my question is aquaculture hatcheries, ang sinabi nyo, 500 million. Sabi ko, location and beneficiary. Kasi, pinasato na batas eh. So, dapat ma-implement kasi batas to eh. O if ever you will implement hatcheries, dito dapat. Kasi pinasato na batas sa Congress at sa Senate. Ba't sabi nung BIFAR, wala daw silang pera? So, hindi nila alam na may pera sila. It's either you're too centralized or hindi nakakaintindi yung mga nasa baba. Kasi babalik na naman tayo dito eh. Mga ganito, listahan eh. Hindi ako mahilig sa listahan. Mahilig ako kung saan yung binigay. I want the list of LGUs na binigyan nyo. Para yung some of them we will check kung naandun nga.
Madam Chair.
Ng trabaho ng oversight. Mag-check ka kung yung nilagay doon naandun nga. And I'm helping the Secretary of Agriculture by doing something like that. Diba?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Yes, just a quick interjection. May we also request for the list that the good chairperson is requesting, the breakdown of the areas, so that we can also identify. I agree with the chair that we need to have details. Napakadaling sabihin 800, 200,000, 800,000, pero sino-sino tong mga to? Para ho maliwanag.
Hindi to 800,000 ang breakdown nito. Pinakamaliit dito is 200 million, 100 million. We're not talking of thousands. We're talking of a minimum is 100 million.
Now,
Isang
ma'am,
tuloy na naiisip ko na sa kanila baliwala ang 100 million. Sa atin, hindi nga tayo nakakakita ng 100 million.
no, ma'am, yes, you're right with respect to the money, the funds. I was referring to 879,937 individuals, yung beneficiaries. Sino-sino itong mga to? Kasi madaling sabihin 800,000 pero sino ito, anong grupo ito, para ho maintindihan natin. Ma'am.
Yes, yeah, I understand.
Yes, Madam Chair, we will be submitting that po, yung mga bawat tao po, pangalan po, Madam Chair.
At saka yung mga, sabi nyo, binibigay nyo sa mga co-op. O di ilagay nyo listahan ng co-op. Kung kanino nyo binigay na co-op. Yung yung interest-free loan. Hindi ko maintindihan eh. I thought na, kasi nangyari doon sa ASEF, 13 billion yung ASEF. Yung 8 billion, namahala sa pagpapautang nun, DA. Nawala yung 8 billion. Ang nagbayad lang doon, 7%. Kaya nung i-ano namin yung ASEF, i-amend, rather i-extend ang ASEF, pinago namin na hindi na dadaan sa DA, pupunta na sa Land Bank. Kasi at least sa Land Bank, bangko yan eh. Hindi nawawala pera dyan. They have to account for that. So, yung ASEF na pinas namin, diretso sa Land Bank ang 80% ng ASEF. Nung ipas namin yun, may 5 billion pa. So, 4 billion went to Land Bank. Should go to Land Bank. 1 billion, 5 billion kasi tigta 10% yung CHED at saka yung CHED for the scholarship. And then yung State University and Colleges for Research, tigpa 500 million sila. 5 billion 10%. Tigpa 500 million sila tapos 4 billion ang Land Bank. Tapos sinabi namin doon talaga, the intent of the law is to give them directly to these people. Kasi nung last time, maraming hindi nakagraduate kasi ayaw ibigay ng DA sa CHED yung matrikula ng mga scholars. So maraming hindi makagraduate. Ang tagal-tagal. Oh. So anong i-rewrite namin at i-extend namin yung ASEP? Wala nang dadaan sa DA. Diretso na. 80% loans, diretso sa land bank at 10% sa CHED for scholarship, 10% sa state universities and colleges for research. Oh, aba, dinaan uli sa DA ng Bureau. Yun ang sinasabi na the intent of the law, binago ng IRR. Dinaan na naman sa DA. Oo, kaya noon sinasabi ko sa DBM, ba't hindi nyo sinunod ang batas? Oh, eto na naman, tong ACPC na to, mag-ingat kayo dito. Kasi the DA hasn't been very good in extending loans to farmers. O ito, kinrate nyo tong ACPC nito. All the while, I thought ng ACPC, sila lang ang pipili, pero ang magdi-disburse land bank. Pero dito, sa project nyo to, ACPC na nag-disburse. I want to clarify that with Secretary Dar. I thought na hindi na pwedeng ma-disburse ang mga ng lending. It should go to Land Bank or DBP. Kayo lang ang magmimili kung sino pa uutangin. Can you answer that?
Opo, nandito po si Jojo Badiola, yung Executive Director ng ACPC. At mayroon mga partner lending institutions po ang ACPC. Hindi po sila yung direkta, Jojo.
Pero ang usapan na, ang buong akala ko sa ACPC, i-identify lang nila kung sino, tapos land bank ang magdi-disburse ng pera.
Sige lang, yung ASEP.
Ganun pa rin, ma'am, yung ginagawa namin. Kaya lang po, under yung sa pandemic, during the pandemic, gumamit po kami ng ibang lending conduits. Yung pong nakabase po sa baba.
Kung i-identify mo lang naman din yun, pareho din yun. Para hindi kayo, bakit bahat na kayo na kayo ang mag-disburse ng pera? Bad ang ating experience sa agriculture disbursing loan. Very bad experience. Unti mo dun sa ASEP, ang nagbayad doon 7%. Out of the 8 billion, 7% ang nagbayad. Nung mahanap namin yon. Oo.
Kami, ma'am,
Kaya, from then on, ayoko na sana na ang agriculture magdi-disburse ng loan. Bakit hindi nyo identify? Tapos sabihin nyo sa land bank, i-disburse dito para accounted for.
ma'am,
Ang bangko is accounted for ang pera. Nire-report nila yan kung bumalik yung pera o hindi bumalik yung pera. Oh. Ikaw naman ang mag-identify, ba't mo ayaw pa disburse sa land bank?
Ma'am, yung ASEF po, hindi po kami involved doon. Nasa land bank po
Hindi
yun.
I'm telling you, in all the loan program of DA, ang buong akala ko land bank na gagawa niyan, kayo lang ang mag-identify. Pa-disburse nyo sa land bank.
Ganun pa rin yung ginagawa namin, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Ito lang.
Diretso na pumili ka na ng financial institution at doon mo i-disburse Oh.
Kaya yun
Hindi
lang
daw
po
dumadaan sa lambo. Pandemic yan. Ako, I don't believe in that system kasi very bad ang experience namin dyan. Sana yung ACPC should remember that.
Ganun naman ginagawa namin.
Hindi, sinabi mo nga ngayong pandemic, hindi mo ginawa
Hindi po. During the pandemic, hindi lang po land bank ang naging conduit namin. Mas marami po.
Ganun din yon. Binibigay sa land bank, tapos ina-identify nyo yung conduit.
Opo, ganun nga po.
O ano masama doon? Bakit ikaw magbibigay doon sa conduit? Di pabayaan mo land bank ang magbigay. Para alam nila na yung conduit mo legitimate. Kasi hindi sila magdi-disburse ng hindi legitimate ang conduit.
Madam Chair, just
Yes.
a quick, just very quickly.
731 million to. 731 million.
Yes, very quickly
Kasi
lang, ma'am.
palagi natin pinag-a-arguhan to eh. Ako, I always say that I don't believe that DA should disburse loans. It should be given to land bank. Ngayon, kung gusto niyo, kayo ang mamili, sabihin niyo sa land bank. At least ang land bank will see na yung pinili niyo is dapat pagkatiwalaan.
Madam Chair, just very quickly, with the permission of the chair, just a
Yes,
quick.
yes. Oo.
Madam Chair, I was COCAFAM chair in 2010. And correct, tama po kayo, Madam Chair. Prior to 2010, itong ASEF fund talagang kung saan napunta. But in fairness to the ACPC, one, as chair of the COCAFAM, and we went through this, hindi sila involved dun sa mga pautang na yon noong prior to 2010. And number two,
No. I'm talking of ACPC now because of our experience do sa COCOFAM, di ba?
Yes, ma'am. And
Alam
I'm
mo, nung extend yung ASEP, I was the COCOFAM chairman.
Yes, ma'am. And I was.
Ako, tinanggal ko sa sarili ko yung power kasi I don't think it's good.
Yes, and when we took over of
I
COCOFAM
was the
chair,
COCOFAM. Kung mahilig ako mag-disburse, kukunin ko yung power na yun. I was the COCOFAM chairman, ipasa ko batas. But I don't think that kami would be a good disbursing ng loans. Kaya pinadala ko yan sa land bank. Kaya lang pumayag si Senator Osmeña na ipasa yung extension of ASEP is dahil dinalo natin sa land bank yung pagdi-disburse ng loan. Kasi yung 8 billion loan na i-disburse ng COCOFAM, ang nagbayad 7%. Walang
Yes, yes.
nagbayad doon sa 8 billion. 7% of 8 is 500 million. O di nawala yung 7.5 billion.
yes, ma'am. Just to complete my earlier interjection, ma'am.
Yeah.
Prior to 2010, before I became COCAFAM chair, tama po, ang dami pong ganitong mga problema. In fact, meron pa nga yung Kedangkor loan ng 1 billion na
Kaya natanggal ang Kedancor.
yes, and ma'am, a number of those transactions were also coursed through the land bank. Kaya nung before 2010. So mixed din ang naging experience natin sa ASEF fund with respect to the land bank at that time, ma'am. In fact, yung Kedancor loan ata, ma'am, may ganong klaseng arrangement with some of our PFIs.
I was witness ko to Kedancor. Ang nag-decide ng Kedancor. Nagbigay sila ng mga loan dito sa mga market namin dito na andyan sila namimigay sila ng loan dyan Tapos wag mo sabihin land bank yung ASEP. COCOFAM yun. Wala naman ang land bank sa paanong ASEP COCOFAM
Primary
yun.
COCOFAM, that is correct.
Ilipat lang sa land bank nung ako ang magpasauli ng ASEP kasi hindi papayag si Senator Osmeña na hindi ibigay sa bangko kasi nawala na nga yung 8 billion. Talagang hindi siya tapapara ng katatanong kung hindi ko i-reform talaga. Ako noon ang chairman ng COCOFAM, gusto ko nga mawala sa akin. Baka mamaya magkaloko-loko pa sa akin yun. Maging ako, issue pa sa akin yun. Hindi naman talaga kami capable with DA to give out loans. Kasi ang chismis pa noon, ang DA humihingi ng 30%, kaya ayaw na magbayad ng loan ng mga umutang. At ang umutang noon, 15 million to 100 million. Wala namang maliit Walang maliit na farmer ang umutang Lahat malalaki 15 million ang pinakamaliit, 100 million ang pinakamalaki. Are you doing ASEF for the 15 to 100 million loan? Hindi ba? Kaya nilimit namin yung ASEF loan, 1 million for individual farmers, 5 million for co-op. Kasi gawa nga ni-reform namin yung ASEF Yun ang sinasabi ko sa ACPC na huwag kayong masyadong ganadong kayo nagre-release ng loan. Ibigay niyo yan sa land bank. Kayo ang mag-suggest kung sino releasean ng loan. Pero yung pagre-release sila, para meron kayong counter check kung yung nire-releasean nyo tama. Mahirap yung kayo lang ang magdi-decide kung kanino nyo i-release ang loan.
And just one more point, ma'am.
Yes.
Perhaps they were also guided by Section 10, letter F, no, of the Bayanihan 2. Yung 24 billion pesos to provide direct cash or loan interest rate subsidies under the programs of the DA, Agriculture Credit Policy Council, and other forms of assistance. So nakalagay po yun sa batas, ma'am. So baka yun ang... yun ang,
Pero ako talaga, palagi ko sinasabi sa inyo na idaan nyo sa bangko. Idaan nyo sa bangko. Kayo mag-identify pero pa-release nyo sa bangko. Kasi that is extra control yon para naman yung pera natin bumalik at makinabang din yung ibang farmer. Kasi pag yung pera natin hindi na bumalik, hanggang doon na lang ang pakinabang noon. Gusto rin natin may magbayad para yung iba naman farmer mapautang natin, di ba?
Tama po.
Di ba tama yun?
Tama po.
Ako, kaya gusto ko lang, wala na tayong kikitain dyan, interest-free yan. Kaya lang, gusto rin natin yung nakinabang, magbayad din para maipautang naman natin sa ibang farmer, di ba? Para ang benefit ng pera, umiikot, di ba? Hindi natatapos, katulad ng ASEF, 13 billion, 8 billion nawala na, hindi na pinakinabangan ng miski sino. Nawala na eh. O ngayon tinatanong ko, ano collection ng ASEF every year? 1 billion a year. Mabigat din yung 13 billion ha. Malaki yun. Ngayon kasi ang collection ng ASEF a little more than 1 billion a year. Yun ngayon ang paghahatian ng land bank, ng CHED at saka ng tawag dito, SUCs. Yung SUCs for research, yung CHED for scholarship, and then ang land bank for loans. Kaya ko lang sinasabi sa inyo, ito yung past experience namin. Oo. Na dapat, we learn from the past. We don't set aside the past. We learn from it and we do good programs because of our learnings from the past. Diba? Yun ang basis natin ng future, yung past. Kung ano yung mga mali sa past, wag na nating ulitin yun, di ba?
Tama po.
Sige. Yan, rice program, ang dami kong question kasi dyan eh. Kaya, tagal-tagal ko nang kinakausap yan eh. Kasi, ang laki-laki ng rice program nyo, 9 billion. Tapos, binigyan pa kayo ng 8 billion ng Bayanihan 1. Tapos hindi malinaw kung saan pupunta. Linawin natin kung saan pupunta yan. Kasi sayang naman yan, hindi naman napupulot ang 8 billion. Kasi kayo, pag nagbigay kayo ng 100 million, parang baliwala ang 100 million eh. Sa amin, ewan ko, kaming mga senador, mabigat sa amin ang 100 million. Ang budget lang yata namin sa Senate, wala pang 100 million. Yung bawat isang senador, kalahati lang yata ang budget. With
Madam
our
Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, sisiguruhin po natin, ma'am, within the week ay bibigay namin yung mas detalyado. Mayroon na kaming sinumit pero dadagdagan po namin ng detalya. Salamat po.
Kasi at saka Secretary, piliin muna kung ano ba yung hybrid producing town at kung ano yung hybrid producing.
We are one with you. We are one with you.
Paghatian na natin yun. Total, ang budget naman ng RCEP at saka RICE program halos pareho, di ba?
Ganun po ang gagawin at ginagawa po. I have given the direction.
Para naman in fairness, yung mga RCEP agency, i-justify nila ginawa nila. At yung mga National Rice Program Agency, i-justify nila ginawa nila. Di ba? Dapat ganun. Hindi yung ang gulo-gulo natin. Hindi malaman kung sino nagtrabaho at sino hindi. Di ba? At saka yung marami nang ibinigay, like yung education and training services, I think yung 1 billion sa RCEP will cover for all rice program in training. Malaki na yun, di ba? So, wag nyo nang lagyan yun. Ilagay nyo sa ibang bagay na wala sa RCEP, like maybe fertilizer or ano pa ba ibang kailangan nila. Maybe small irrigation facilities, di ba? Kasi hindi rin nabibigay ng NFA yung mga small irrigation facilities. Kung hintayin na naman natin, yung NIA, Huintay naman na niya, kay tagal-tagal. E di yung yung mga small irrigation facilities, isama nyo na sa rice program. Kasi wala kami sa RCEP noon na, although may machinery kami, pero mukhang puro farm machinery yun. Oo. Eh, yun lang. Sige, you go ahead. Go ahead explaining. May mga question ba yung ating mga senator? Yes, Senator Joel.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
good morning, Secretary.
Mm.
Under the Bayanihan 1, well, let me just start by
Madam Chair,
by
Chair.
quoting
Yes,
yung
yes,
Asian
yes.
Development Bank estimates.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Sabi po doon,
Yes, Senator Joel can Senator Kiko is interceding. Pwede ba?
okay, sure.
Just very quickly, ma'am, I understand there is a list of who will be interpolating. So
Yes.
I was here at 8:15, ma'am.
Yeah, you're the first one. Yes.
But if Senator Joel will be asking on the earlier interventions, just to interject, I can yield to him in that regard, Madam.
No, I'm sorry, Senator Kiko. It's a different topic. I thought it is my turn. I have no intention of being the first one online.
Nauna, Senator Joel, nauna sa si Senator Binay at Senator Marcos.
Yes, I understand. Yes, we will wait for our turn.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Senator
ma'am.
Pangilinan. Yes.
Thank you, Senator Joel. Pasensya na. But if you have any questions dun sa earlier mga interventions or earlier, please go ahead. But since it's another topic, if I may be allowed to proceed, ma'am.
Please, no worries.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairperson. Thank you, Senator Joel. We have a few questions on the implementation of the Bayanihan. Una, ma'am, we support your manifestation and your request that we be given, all members of the committee, given by the DA, copies precisely of the lists of these beneficiaries dito sa mga disbursements. So dito po sa tanong natin, ma'am, yung of the total budget, 59% has already been disbursed, and the DA was able to distribute 85% of target bags of inbred seed, target bags of hybrid seeds, and 74% of target bags of fertilizers, 85% dito sa inbred. First, their manifest requested, we would like to have a list of these beneficiaries. But second, sabi po ng DA, 34.8% pa lang ang naging nakatanggap ng target beneficiaries. Can we have this clarified? 59% of the total budget has been disbursed, 85% of inbred seeds have been distributed, 85% of hybrid seeds, and 74% of fertilizers have been distributed. And yet, 34.8% pa lang ang target beneficiaries. Is this correct? Can the DA clarify this? This is based on the report.
Madam Chair, Senator Kiko,
Sa Rice Resiliency Project to, no? Bakit 34.8% lang ang nakatanggap ng target beneficiaries?
wala akong figure. Senator Kiko, we're trying to look at the presentation right now. Hinahanap ko po yung figure na 34%. So, I am validating it. Wala pa po akong makita ng 34% dito, Senator.
Ito yung based dun sa sa dami ng beneficiaries, tsaka
kasi niya yung ito, yung beneficiaries, at saka ito, mga 30+% na.
which is not that.
Oh, kaya i-validate na lang po ninyo, sir, ulit.
Ayan, 2.5 billion targets and 879 individuals ang company.
Ito, may ratio niya sa...
Physical accomplishments, beneficiaries reached.
Kasi progressive pa tayo sa pinababalitin lang natin. Alam ko progressive pa tayo. Andrew.
Kasi 50% would be 1.25 million, hindi ba? Kaso ang nakalagay sa inyo 879,000. Siguro nasa balanse. Meron pang balanse ng 3.4 billion. 1.9 billion of which has been obligated. So meron pang 3.4 billion na kinakailangan pang ma-disperse. Perhaps that explains it. No?
Madam Chair, Senator Kiko, tama po kayo. As of the meantime, as per targeted po natin, 34% lang. Kasi po, meron pa po tayong ongoing ngayon para dun sa fertilizer distribution po natin na ibinaba na po natin dun sa field level po, Madam Chair.
So you expect that 879 should be able to, reach, the 2.5 million target. Kayo naglagay ng target eh.
2,525,000 individuals. You're right, Mr. Chair.
Yes,
Madam
yes. So can we have during plenary, can we have an update regarding this? Kasi malaki yung discrepancy nung 34% based on distribution. Can you reconcile that? And then during plenary, if we can get an update?
We will submit to that what we call request, Madam Chair. And in fact, as mentioned a while ago, even the beneficiaries, we will be submitting it, Madam Chair.
Yes, thank you. And then, do we have just to go back to the productivity level, kasi itong rice resiliency program, ang objective dito is to raise the productivity levels of our rice farmers, hindi po ba? Ano ba ang current level of productivity ng ating rice program in terms of yields, in terms of cost of production, and how are we going to meet the lower cost of production and the better yields to address precisely competitiveness?
Madam Chair, our what we call baseline data is actually 4.04 metric ton per hectare. We're targeting to increase it to 4.25 po, metric ton per hectare. When it comes to the production cost, with all the intervention that we have, with the RCEP, that has per component, yung hybrid naman po ay may mga seeds at saka po fertilizer tayo. So we will be also providing you with the data on how we're gonna the data on what it will be the reduction in terms of cost.
Pagka umabot ka ng 4.25 metric tons, kailan ito? Anong timeline ito? From 4.6 metric tons per hectare to 4.25 metric tons per hectare. Ito ang magiging national average, tama po ba yun? At kailan?
Ito pong harvest po natin coming from the wet season na ina-harvest po natin ngayon.
And onwards. Ibig sabihin,
And Madam Chair, well, of course, for the last report of the PSA data for the last quarter, we were able to achieve a 16% growth in terms of rice po. And hoping that kung hindi po masyadong damaging ang mga typhoons natin, LPAs, tsaka po mga ano natin, La Nina, then we will be expecting to have a harvest for this season total po na 20 million po. Metric ton, Madam Chair.
Sige, can we request for a submission also on this regard so that we are updated regarding our targets and the productivity levels that we hope to reach?
Madam Chair, it will be integral form part of what we committed to submit, Madam Chair.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay.
On the issue of cash assistance to farmers,
Can I interject there?
yes, ma'am.
Pag nag-20 million ka, ilang percent ng local demand yon?
Approximately, Madam Chair, 93% po, 93 to 94% po ng ating sufficiency level.
Pag ganun ang production mo, ilan ang i-import mo? 7%?
You are right, Madam Chair, 7% po.
O ano ang 7%? No, I want it to come from them. Magkano ang 7%? Di ba malaki na yung 1.5 million metric tons?
Ma'am,
7%?
in addition, ma'am, yung 7% ba na yun is only for consumption or does that include buffer stocking and as well as yung
No. I just want to know what should be the rice importation dapat kasi I find 2.5 million very big. So I just want it to come from them. Pag ikaw naka 93% ang production mo, ilan ang i-import mo? I want it to come from DA para maliwanag kasi ang laki-laki ng ini-import nila eh. And yet, sinasabi nila magna 93% tayo ng production. I just want to know how much we will import if 93% ang production level natin. I want it to come from them. So they will be conscious of that.
Yes, ma'am. Just a clarification. Para sa DA po, does the 93% sufficiency, is this consumption or per capita consumption or does it include buffer stocking as well as wastage, etc.? Kasi ang wastage po natin umaabot ng 1 million metric tons eh. So kahit na makapag-produce ka ng 93%, kasama na ba doon ang
1
wastage?
million metric ton ang wastage? Sobra naman yun.
Madam Chair, with the consumption that we have, mga 21 million metric ton of 14 to 15 million metric ton po, mga 1 million metric ton pa po ng bigas ang dapat po natin importin.
Important. Oh, so yung 1.5 may buffer zone na yon.
Yes, Madam Chair, you're right
Oh,
po.
bakit 2.5 ang ini-import natin?
Madam Chair, for this year, ang na-import lang po natin is less than 2 million. Kanya po naging 2 million because may arrival pong dumating coming from November and December of last year, dumating po ng this year. January and
Hindi,
February.
sabi nyo, i-import pa kayo ng 300,000.
Wala na po, wala pong importin po na
So, magkano dadating ngayon? Here.
As per dun po sa mga what they call applicable pa pong SPSIC na hindi pa po nag-expire, around 100,000 po.
Hindi,
But-
ibig sabihin, magkano nga in total for this year? Ang dadating na import for this year. Ilan ang i-importin nyo total this year? I just want it to come from you para alam nyo. Kasi mahirap naman kami magsasabi na dapat ganito gawin nyo. Ano ang level of importation nyo this year?
A year-end po, pag nirecon po natin lahat ng dumating for the year is 2.1 po ang dumating, 2.1 million.
So hindi 2.5.
Hindi na po aabot doon, Madam Chair, hindi po.
O ngayon, sa 2.1 ba tayo pa rin ang largest importer of rice?
Wala.
Sa 2.1?
Well, China will always be one of the highest.
So, last year, sabi nila, tayo ang largest importer of rice.
Apo. Kaya lang po, Madam Chair, with the calamity that happened to them, may mga flooded din po sila na experience. May policy shift po sila in terms of buffer stocking din po nila, Madam Chair.
So we will not be the largest importer of rice this year.
Hindi po, Madam.
Think. Oh. Kasi ako, napapahiya ako pag sinasabi na largest importer of rice tayo, yun ang pine-press release nila. I don't want us to be the largest importer of rice, for after all, China has 1.3 billion population, tayo 110 million lang. Diba? So, yun
Ma'am,
lang.
maybe-
Sige, go ahead, Senator Kiko.
Yes, before I go back to the productivity, just a quick question. What is our estimated wastage sa rice production? Yung mga post-harvest wastage, yung mga because of poor storage, facilities. Ano ang ilang metric tons ang hindi na ang nawe-waste?
Sir, sa mechanization po, with the current horsepower that we have, mga nasa 15% po ang nawe-waste po natin. 15 to 16%.
16% of total palay production?
You are right, Madam Chair. Post-harvest po yan, Madam. Losses po, losses.
Yes, losses, yes. So that is how many metric tons? Sa 21 million metric tons of palay, tama yun, ano? 21 million metric tons of palay o tama? Palay, no? And then,
Ito po, Madam Chair.
so 2.1, mga 2. How many is that? 15% of 21 million tons is over 2 million tons of palay.
O palay po, yes, Madam Chair. Yes po,
Palay
Madam.
yun.
Yun ang wastage mo, no?
In addition,
Yeah.
in addition po, Madam Chair, meron po tayong mga frequent calamities na nagko-contribute din po sa mga losses na.
Di ba pag determine mo ng production mo, tanggal na yung wastage doon.
You are right, Madam Chair.
Wastage,
Tama po.
wala na yung wastage kasi production na yun eh. That means yung na-waste mo, hindi mo na binilang yun, di ba? So yung
Tama
20
po,
million mo, minus na yung wastage doon, di ba? How can you produce something na na-waste na? Oh. So yung 20 million mo, minus na yung wastage doon, di ba?
You are right, Madam Chair. Tama po yung sinabi niyo.
In other words, less 15% na yung 21 million.
Correct.
20 million.
All the other losses po na pinrocheck po natin. And we have a situational outlook po. Tinitingnan din po natin base sa mga forecast po ng other mga contributory to damages.
Yes, but if you and precisely if you have better technology, better post-harvest, you can reduce further that wastage and therefore
You
create-
produce more.
produce more, di ba?
That is right.
Okay, just that I just wanted that clarified. Ma'am, kung sa cash assistance, sabi ninyo na disbursed na lahat, no? 6 billion sa RFFA and FSRF. Interventions are 5,000 cash and 5,000 cash for both. And financial subsidy to rice farmers, rice farmer financial assistance. We commend the DA and the LBP, Land Bank, for almost completing the release of cash assistance. The combined total number of beneficiaries, however, of these two programs is 56% of the total farmers. Ano ang magiging programa ng DA to target and distribute cash grants to the remaining beneficiaries? Kasi halos kalahati pa ang hindi nakakatanggap ng cash assistance.
Madam Chair, when that program was actually concepted, ang primary goal po niya, dahil nga po limited yung budget, are those severely and badly affected. Kanya po nagkaroon tayo ng guidelines. And the good senator is precisely right in saying meron pong hindi po talaga nabigyan. Ninreal po natin doon sa mga talagang affected po, sobrang
I
affected.
think Senator Pangilinan, their target is the farmers owning 1 hectare and below,
Yes.
which is 600,000. Yun ang kanilang target.
That is accurate, Madam Chair.
That has always been your policy. All farmers earning 1 hectare and below.
You are accurate, Madam Chair. Tama po yung anong yun. Apo.
Okay, thank you. But sana mabigyan pa natin ng dagdag na suporta ang ating lalo na dun
Kasi
sa
owning naman more than 1 hectare, yung 2 hectares, doble naman ang income nila. Ang maliliit ang income, yung 1 hectare and below. Kaya yun ang palagi nilang tinutulungan, and that is 600,000 farmers. Yun ang palagi nilang binibigyan ng cash assistance. So,
Until they become competitive, Madam Chair, you are accurate po. Tama po.
ito medyo i-reiterate ko lang my next set of questions dahil natanong na ito, just the details, no, dahil sabi po ninyo 2.5 billion has been appropriated for the expanded Sure Aid and Recovery Project. 2.2 billion has been disbursed, no? 1.2 billion total credit funds to 40,000 small and
45.
medium 45,000.
44.
Yun ang- Pero meron itong 731 total loans released to mid, small, and small. Yun na nga, ma'am, can we request that we be given a general profile of the beneficiaries
Yeah.
where and then
I'm asking for that also, the list of the MSMEs at saka yung individual borrowers, di ba? Hinihingi natin yan, di ba?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, we already provided you a copy of the list of MSEs
Where?
and the farmers with Attorney Reggie po.
if we
Wala
can
bang
get
binibigay sa akin?
if you can provide
Kasama
copies
si
of all
Reggie.
births
Sir, yes, yes.
of the
We will submit po. We will resubmit.
Tawagan mo si Reggie.
Yung corn farmers ba nasama dito sa assistance na ito o puro rice farmers lang ito?
Meron po kaming under Sure Aid po.
Yes.
Lahat po, sir. Lahat. Actually, we have a list by commodity. We can also provide you that.
Okay, thank you, thank you. And my
Maybe-
last yes.
Madam Chair, for Senator Kiko, can I be recognized?
Go ahead, I think she
Yung 731 na hindi pa na binigay nila personally. Hindi
Senator Kiko, mayroon kaming kinakasa sa Bayanihan 2 na magbibigay sa iba't ibang poorest of the poor na hindi ngayon rice farmers. But doon sa mga rice farmers na badly affected, tinitingnan rin namin kung mayroon extra tariff na nakolekta.
yes, yun ang ano,
Yeah.
yun ang hinihingi ng ating mga rice farmers lalo na ngayon bagsak ang presyo at mataas ang supply, yung
Tama.
direct cash assistance. Thank you, thank you.
May I interject, Senator Pangilinan? I want to tell that someone who said that it was given to Attorney Reggie, wala daw. Siguro binigay mo ngayon, wala.
We can resubmit po. I'm sorry. We can
I
resubmit.
don't think they will not give it to me if you have given, huh? Don't tell us that you're giving, huh?
Yes,
If you
ma'am,
are
yes.
not giving. And at the same time, I am filing a resolution that anything beyond the 10 billion will be given as cash assistance to the farmers in this time of pandemic. Yung anything beyond the 10 billion collection and tariff, Senator Pangilinan, we would want
Yes,
that it
thank
be
you.
given as cash assistance to the farmers. I am filing a resolution for that.
Madam
Thank
Chair.
If I can
Yes.
be a co-author, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Madam Chair, I was mentioning na tinitingnan po namin yung taripa at kung pwede magbigay ng cash assistance, we will make it possible this time again.
Yeah, we have filed the resolution. Actually, as of latest na nabasa ko, it's more than 870 million na yung beyond 10 billion. So we will file a resolution that it be given as cash assistance to the small farmers. So we will do
Thank
that
you.
in the Senate.
Thank you, ma'am. On another subject, ma'am, I can raise some
Yeah,
questions.
go ahead.
Yung sa direct purchases sa farmers and fisher folk, Secretary, iba-iba yung pagura, no? Siguro dahil iba yung cut-off. Noong July 20, 442 LGUs purchased directly at 2.6 billion. Tapos during a webinar organized by Business Mirror, sabi po ng Assistant Secretary Evangelista, 6 billion worth of farm produce. Magkano na po ba ang through the Kadiwa, through Sagip-Sakin, magkano na ba ang binili ng ating local governments total as of today sa ating farmers and fisher folk?
Approximately po almost 3 billion na po yung LGU lang po ang pinag-uusapan natin, Madam Chair.
LGU?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And Kadiwa ni Ani at Kita consolidated because it has different modalities, more than 8. Nasa 6 billion na po, Madam Chair.
So ang total would be 9 billion? Tama ba yan?
You are right, Senator, Madam Chair.
Because ang Kadiwa also purchases directly, hindi ba, sa ating farmers and fisher folk.
The Kadiwa and Kanan Kita's primary function is to mix and match the what they call farmers to the institutional buyers and commercial. And the last resort is they will be purchasing kapag po talagang wala pong mai-mix and match.
Because the DA, national agencies like DA, DSWD, can also purchase directly sa farmers and fisher folk organizations.
Yeah,
under the... Yes.
You are right, Madam Chair. Tama po yon.
Okay. So, meron kasi kaming, may we have also data regarding these direct purchases and beneficiaries and farmers cooperatives? Kasi I was in a webinar sa Naga, and yung isang Kamsur multipurpose cooperative, last year, 2019, ang binili sa kanila 7 million pesos worth of agricultural products. But this year, 13 LGUs bought from them 62 million pesos worth of rice. So, ang laki nung jump. And they're precisely because of this LGU purchases na 13 dyan sa Camarines Sur, from 7 billion last year, ang kanilang revenue sa sales, naging 62 billion 2020. So, we'd like to get a listing also of those 3 billion, kung pwedeng masubmit sa atin. Sino-sino yan? Anong kooperatiba yan? Anong local government yan? And maybe, yes, go ahead.
Madam Chair, Senator Kiko, we are very delighted to know na more than that ay meron pa pong bumibili. Admittedly po, yung sinabit namin are those that we were able to monitor. May mga iba po talaga na under their own initiative because of the pandemic have gone that far, ay papamonitor din po namin sa mga RFOs po natin, and we will be submitting it to you, Madam Chair.
And hopefully during plenary, Secretary, baka pwedeng, if you can give us at least some, sabihin na natin success stories in terms of ano yung naging dagdag na income nila year on year compared to last year because of these direct purchases, so that we have a benchmark in terms of increased incomes, which should always be the benchmark in terms of interventions, one of the benchmarks in terms of our interventions.
We will do that, Madam Chair. Yung pong sa success story, maghahanap din po kami at ipapresenta din po namin, Madam Chair.
And then one more question on this matter. Under the Bayanihan 1 report, fund utilization reports that 9.38 billion was utilized for food assistance and other relief goods for affected households. So you have 6 billion from direct purchases, 3 billion, 6 billion. So baka ito ho yun, ano? Baka we can encourage more LGUs to do this, Secretary, because I was in a discussion with some mayors from Iloilo and also from Region 5. And a number of them are not familiar with the direct purchases. Nag-aalala sila na baka daw ano ng COA, etc. Pero maliwanag naman, hindi po ba, na ginagawa na ito. So maybe DA can push further these direct purchases para mas marami pa sa ating mga farmers and fisher folk ang makikinabang.
Madam Chair, Senator Kiko, yes, under Bayanihan 2, there is a section there allowing national and local government agencies to directly purchase agricultural and fishery products from farmers and fisher folk and agricultural cooperatives as a form of direct assistance, even beyond the lapse of Republic Act number 11469 in accordance with Republic Act number 11321 or the Sagip-Saka Act. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, and Senator Kiko.
And my last question na lang is just a submission, Madam Chair. Dun sa 24 billion cash, direct cash o loan interest subsidy, as well as other forms of assistance, baka pwedeng
Bayanihan 2.
yes, yung breakdown at intended utilization of the 24 billion. Kasi
Bayanihan 2. That's Bayanihan 2. Yes.
yes, ano lang ho, ano yung ano yung breakdown nito, saan niyo dadalhin ito? Ano ang plano ninyo rito? Dahil sabi nga ni Madam Chairperson, hanggang December lang ito, kaya dapat sa lalong madaling panahon ay ma-ensure na maabot yung tulong.
Madam Chair and good Senator, there are two big projects under the social amelioration and projects under the Bayanihan 2. 6.5 billion total itong dalawang projects. The first one is 2.5B for expanded shore aid and recovery project. So para madagdagan yung ibibigay sa mga farmers and fisher folk, including that of micro small enterprises. Now the 4 billion is planned and designed now to give cash and food assistance to other farmers other than the rice farmers. So this time sila rin mabibigyan po.
Yes. And one last point, ma'am. In the DSWD budget debates, in the committee hearing, Secretary Willie, we clarified with Secretary Bautista regarding the supplemental feeding programs and the disaster relief and programs of the DSWD. I asked him if there is coordination with the DA in terms of them purchasing directly from farmers and fisher folk cooperative. We also requested them, we will ask them during the budget debates on the floor, during plenary debates sometime next month, if they can give us a template of how. Kasi ang total amount ton, yung programa na yun, around 12 plus 6, around almost 18 billion pesos worth of food assistance sa kanilang feeding programs. Dapat meron ho kayong pag-uusap with the DSWD so that some of these funds can be directed precisely to purchasing from farmers and fisher folk cooperatives. Malaking bagay din po yun.
Tama po kayo, Madam Chair, Sen. Kiko. Doon sa task group on food security that I chair, isang decision po o panukala na naaprubahan ng task group, which is also approved by the main IATF, ay for DSWD to now consider purchasing their food packs or components of their food packs from the farmers and fisher folk. Yun po ay sinusundan po natin yan para DSWD will consider this.
I want to add, Secretary Dar, that it's not only DSWD. In fact, meron din ng DepEd, di ba? May DepEd sila na feeding program din for the children. And in that DepEd, sinama namin sa batas na yung kanilang milk for feeding should be bought from our local farmers cooperative ng dairy. Oo. So that is additional market for our dairy products. Oo. Ni-require namin sila na they have to work with our dairy cooperatives to buy milk from them para yung ating i-establish na milk livelihood program sa dairy may market, di ba? Additional market. So I guess you have in addition to the SWD, you should look at DepEd also. Kayo na ang lumapit sa kanila para mabili yung mga produkto ng ating farmers. At kung magkakulang yung dairy, edi kahit vegetable kasi healthy din yun, di ba?
Okay. Tama po.
Thank you, ma'am. I have no other questions on Bayanihan 1 and 2, ma'am. Raise other questions in the other departments or other agencies.
Yeah.
Thank you in the other hearings scheduled. Thank you, ma'am. Maraming salamat. Thank you,
Okay.
Secretary. Thank you very much.
So, I just want to reiterate the request that you give us a report on sino bang national government agencies at mga LGUs ang bumibili sa ating mga farmer ngayon. You make an extensive report, and then yung also direct purchases from private sector from farmers cooperative para makita natin kung nagsasucceed tayo in creating parang value chain or value chain para yung ating mga government, mga LGUs at mga private sector ma-encourage sila na dumiretso sa ating mga farmers cooperative. Yung report lang para makita namin yung extent na nangyayari. Especially na DSWD at DepEd kasi may feeding program sila. In fact, miski DILG, sabi nila nagbibigay sila ng rice sa kanilang mga may rice subsidy sila sa kanilang mga pulis. So nabili din sila ng rice. Oo, at saka yung mga prisionero, yung kanilang jail, nagpapakain sila sa jail eh. So pwede din bibili sila. So maybe you can trace all of this na bumibili ng pagkain sa ating mga department at i-report nyo sa amin para ma-follow up din namin na ma-reiterate sa kanila that you have to support agriculture. Yun lang po. Hanapin nyo yung mga bumibili. Oo.
We will do that.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to acknowledge the presence of course, kanila, Senator Villanueva, and now Senator Subiri. So we will ask now Senator Binay if she will ask questions.
Yes.
Andiyan po ba si
Yes.
Senator?
Madam Chair.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Just a few questions, Madam Chair.
Yeah, okay. Sige.
Thank you po and good morning, Secretary Dar. Good morning to the GA family. Secretary Dar, siguro, how much is the budget for the plant?
Okay, let me start, Madam Chair, Senator Binay. Yung Plan program has now become the umbrella flagship program. So lahat po ng refocus banner programs plus the additional budget that we have for, say, Rice Resiliency Program will now be forming part of the Plan program. So the two sources of budget would be the GAA for 2020 and the additional budget from Bayanihan 1 and Bayanihan 2. Ganun po.
So, Secretary, magkano ho total?
Okay, ang nakuha po natin doon sa Bayanihan 1 directly ay 8.5 billion pesos. Yung expanded Sure Aid and Recovery Project na 2.5 ay galing po sa GAA ng ACPC. So yung GAA din ng financial subsidy for rice farmers ay galing din sa GAA. So yun po ang unang na-implementa po natin ngayong pandemya. So 8.5 plus 6 kasi yung RFFA ay karamihan na ibigay itong second quarter.
Okay.
So 8.5 plus 6 plus 2.5, that's 17 billion po.
Okay. Secretary Dar, yung plant naman ho is not just for rice and corn, di ba?
Hindi lang po for rice but covers livestock, fisheries, and poultry and fisheries.
As part of the plant po?
Tama po kayo.
Fisheries and so hindi lang siya planting.
Yes.
Tama po.
Okay. Kasi yung pangalan ng plant ang impression pagtatanim, 'di ba? So
Tama po kayo. Tama po kayo pero doon sa media blitz natin, sinabi po natin, Madam Chair and Senator Binay, na yung plant encompasses po lahat ng commodity industry sa agriculture.
and dun sa as part of the plant is the urban gardening.
Kasama po yan, bago po na refocus, una namin yung budget ng GAA. So, at dadagdagan pa natin sa Bayanihan 2.
Okay. So magkano ho ang ilalaan natin for urban gardening?
Sa unang budgeting natin po ay tinarget po natin ng 500 million coming from the GAA of the
Okay. 2020.
2020.
Okay.
Now dito po sa Bayanihan 2 ay mayroon nakalaan na 400 million pesos dagdag.
And ilan ho yung target nyo? Ilan ho yung target nyo na, na mabibigyan nitong ano for urban gardening? Urban gardening. Tsaka siguro
Itong
Secretary
urban
Dar,
gardening,
ano ho ba to? May kit? May standard kit ho ba to?
mayroon pong starter kits. At the same time, mayroon community gardens, 212 sites, modernized urban agriculture, 417 sites. Mayroon din urban mushroom production, 104 sites. The whole idea is to increase production of vegetables and ease access to fresh produce in the cities. Alam po natin na maraming nahikayat po tayo during the first 5 months ng pandemya at until now na nagtatanim po ng mga vegetables and fruits and they're reaping what they have planted by now having nutritious and fresh fruits and vegetables.
But aside from the community and ano nga ho ba yung isa, yung 417, did you also distribute to individuals?
Yes, we do. We did that yung first part of the urban agriculture project. Ito ngayon,
Ilan ho
So-
yung naging beneficiary dun sa individual?
okay, I will have to get
Sige, siguro Secretary Dar, kahit for submission na lang ho, yung
opo, we will do that.
and then yung areas ho na nabigyan nyo
Tama po.
for the individual.
We will submit the details of this, Senator. Madam Chair.
And so far ho, dun sa experience nyo, was this a successful program, this urban gardening?
Now, even before the pandemic po, gawa ang vegetable production natin ay also governed by the weather disturbances, ay kailangan po natin magkampanya ng additional vegetable and fruit production. And this is showing the way na halos we have more than enough ng vegetables and fruits. So it's successful, very successful.
Okay, and siguro, Secretary, ano ho ba yung, ano yung laman ng starter kits nyo?
Yung starter kits po may buto, yung mga very popular na vegetables, some vegetables, pinakbet vegetables, some yung mga kagaya leafy vegetables, pechay, lettuce, kangkong, and the like. So, ganun po, very popular po, ang dami pang nagre-request hanggang ngayon.
And yung DA ho ba nagpa-provide ng assistance or training kung paano alagaan itong mga...
Kompleto po yun. Kompleto po yun, Madam Chair, Senator Binay. Yes, kaakibat doon sa starter kit ay kasama po ang training. Opo.
So may mga webinar ho ba kayong ginawa?
Opo, maraming webinar at we would continue this and that's how we are doing things normally now, webinar series.
Okay. And then, meron ho ba kayong parang tinitignan na programa? Kasi alam naman natin na dito sa NCR, marami naman hong vacant lots, di ba?
That's why,
Meron ba
Madam,
kayong parang coordination to temporarily use itong mga vacant lots as
Yes.
vegetable gardens?
yes, we have signed a good number of MOAs with LGUs dito sa Metro Manila. And this is the direction now from individual families. We will now go to community gardening or meaning those are vacant plots or lots in the various subdivisions. At ganun po, to showcase community gardening na pwede lang, hindi lang para sa household, pero para din sa merkado.
Okay. Yun lang po. And siguro Secretary, for additional submission na lang kung kanino kayo nagkaroon na ng MOA ng mga LGUs when it comes to this project. And
We will do
hopefully,
that now.
pag medyo safe na ho talaga lumabas, we can probably visit itong mga community gardens nyo.
Salamat.
Yun lang po muna, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Salamat po, Madam Chair, Senator Binay.
Po kayo. Sen Cynthia, yan.
May we now hear from Senator Amy? Thank you, Senator Nancy. Senator Amy, nawawala. So if Senator Amy is not yet here, maybe we can ask now Senator Villanueva to ask questions. Nadidinig ba ako? Joel? Senator Joel? Wala si Amy. Tawag mo si Amy. Senator Joel, are you there? My God. Kanina, magtatanong. Senator Mix, sino ba na andito? Pagtatawagan na yung mga naglista. Senator Mix. Nawala. While waiting for yes, are they here na? Anyway, while waiting for them, tawagan mo na nga sila. While waiting for them, so I have here a list of what I want submitted. In here, in Bayanihan 2, what you have a budget of 5B for the Rice Resiliency Program. We want to have a breakdown of this. And then you have a 5.5 billion budget for FMR. So you have to list yung FMR na to na 5.5 billion. I just want to ask question kasi it's the policy that you identify the FMR and then the DPWH will implement the FMR. Is this still the policy now?
Tama po, tama po.
Yeah, okay. So we want the identification of the 5.5B na FMR. And then you have, as you have mentioned before, you have talked about this, the 6.5B social protection. And you said you divided it into two, may 2.5 at saka may 4 billion.
Tama
You
po.
mentioned this before. The 4 billion is for the other agricultural farmers other than rice.
Tama po.
And then yung 2.5 para saan yun?
Para sa lahat ng marginalized farmers and fisher folk po.
Hindi, yung 4 para kanino yun? Hinati mo 2.5 for...
Madam Chair, the 4 billion will be for the following farmers. Sila po yung mga poorest of the poor sa fishery community, sa coconut farming, coconut farming.
Okay.
Opo, yung corn farmers din kasama. And upland farmers po.
O yung 2.5 para kanino?
Lahat po na dalawang component po yon, kagaya yung dati na expanded sure aid program for marginalized farmers and fisher folk and for micro small enterprises. Ang ganda po yung itong programa, gustong-gusto po nila.
Ano ba yung 2.5 loan o...
Loan po ito. Loan po ito.
Yung 2.5 loan, yung 4 billion cash aid.
Tama po.
Okay, sige. So, we want that, the breakdown of that. I saw Senator Joel already, so maybe you can ask questions. We're just asking while we're waiting for you. Oo, sige.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for this opportunity. Good morning, Secretary. I would just like to on questions related to employment in the agriculture sector vis-a-vis our target for Bayanihan 1 and 2. Secretary, I note yung Asian Development Bank estimates that the pandemic has affected 1.34 million agricultural workers in the country. I'm not sure if the department has the same figures. One, that's what I wanted to know. But two, I'm a little concerned because in the latest PSA survey naman, the agricultural sector increased by 1.138 million. The workers in agricultural sector. So which is which, Secretary? And what's your take on this, sir?
Let me mention, Madam Chair, good Senator Joey. Ang
Joel.
Yeah, Senator Joel, ang agrikultura po ay, while the lockdown was happening, let me first give you the data we have. 15% of the farmers and the fishers were disrupted. In many ways, hindi po sila nagtuloy na magsaka at mangisda. Now, doon sa nagtuloy, 35% of them were also not able to market their produce. And of course, a good number of farm workers were not reporting to work base dun sa initially 15%. But eventually, ay nilaban po natin sa IATF na dapat ang pangingisda at ang pagsasaka ay tuloy-tuloy dapat at nabigyan naman. So, naka-recover konti ang agrikultura po, including that of the workers. Ganon po pananaw po natin.
You both agree with the ADB affected yung 1.34 million, but you also subscribe to the PSA na nag-increase ang workers ng 1.138 million. Is that correct? Because I don't know how you're going to reconcile the two figures, especially with the estimated number of displaced agricultural workers.
As I've said, Senator Joel, we will try to understand better yung mga data po.
Sound system.
Mahirap po, Secretary, hindi po namin kayo marinig.
There's something wrong with your sound system. We cannot hear you very well.
Senator Joel, hindi ko kayo marinig masyado.
Sabihin mo doon sa...
I think it's mutual, Secretary. I can't hear you either.
Pati ako, hindi ko siya madinig. There's something wrong. Dapat isara yung mga bukas ang sound system eh. Yung
Okay.
yung mga...
Ganito na lamang po, Madam Chair and Senator Joel, we will validate what you have and next plenary, we will come back with this concern and give you details on our analysis.
So there's conflict. There is conflict between PSA and ADB. Ganun ba, Senator Joel?
Hindi naman po. That's why we wanted the clarification, ma'am, because yung ADB says 1.34 million yung affected agricultural workers during the pandemic. But then PSA survey says it has increased the number of agricultural sector workers by 1.138 million. Ang tingin ko nga po, and I may be wrong here, Madam Chair, Secretary, probably because the industry and services sectors are more heavily affected by the lockdown, some Filipinos may have shifted to working to the agricultural sector. However, it doesn't mean naman po that the agricultural sector has, I'm not sure, no, it has indeed recovered all the jobs it lost due to the pandemic. So we will await na lang po with the explanation of the Secretary. It's okay, ma'am. I just want to be clarified with that data.
Ano ba? I think there's something wrong with the DA because we're okay. I hear Senator Joel. I hear maybe there is something open there in your sound in your computer. Kasi sometimes if something beside you is open, then the sound system is having difficulty.
Nagpi-feedback po, Madam Chair.
Oo, sa kanila hindi naman sa atin I can understand you. It's with the DA.
Yeah. Please put off all those who have been connected. Only one should be connected here. Okay, can I come back, Madam Chair and Senator Joel? Yung tama po yung sinabi po ninyo na as I've said, initial days of the lockdown, apektado po ang agrikultura. Now, in the second quarter, based on the performance of the sector, ay lumago ang agrikultura ng 1.6%. Meaning, nagsibalikan ang mga initially affected na workers at employed bumalik sa agrikultura. At dito sa third quarter, initial indications indicate na mataas po yung increase ng rice production, 16%. Meaning talagang na yung employment attraction was there for agriculture kasi open po ang suporta ng IATF dun sa farming and fishing.
Ay, sige. Itlog ba yan? O something? Yun, ma'am. Yeah, I don't like.
Sino ba yun? Who's talking? Who's talking?
We
We ask those who are talking to please mute. Okay, go ahead, Joel.
Please mute muna. Anyway, Secretary, but also with regard to the same figure that you mentioned, if you look at the July 2020 also, the labor force survey of PSA, we noted po that while the employment in agriculture grew and increased, the number also of underemployed in the agricultural sector, underemployed workers, also increased by 18%. Nakalagay po dito 1.96 million in July of 2019 to 2.32 million in July 2020. It means that more agricultural workers desire to have probably additional hours of work to earn higher. Now, having said that, Secretary, how does the allocation of our Bayanihan 2
directly under the office of the President?
To provide
Can you please mute your Who's
Field
that?
Inspectorate, Madam
Who is that?
From the Field Inspectorate yung nagsasalita kanina
Sino ba yon? Ading, sino ba yon?
Anyway, Secretary, as I mentioned earlier, paano mo makakatulong yung allocation naman po ng Bayanihan 2 dito sa pag-address ng hindi lang yung unemployment kundi yung underemployment po? Perhaps would reduce the underemployment in the sector by the year end.
Yeah, Madam Chair, Senator Joel, malaking tulong po kung ang agrikultura, farming and fishing, including that of value adding, will continuously encourage or will employ more and will be a part of that growing of that growth of the sector. Now, anytime now, the third quarter growth will be revealed again by NEDA, and the 24 billion that will now be utilized for propping up all the programs and projects of the department under the plant program will really encourage more employment opportunities. Of course, not only employment, but productivity levels will be enhanced and income opportunities will be enhanced.
You agree with me, Secretary, na perhaps the reason why the underemployment rose in the agricultural sector is because yung pong desire to have additional hours to work or earn higher, yun ho yung dahilan nun.
We will validate all those theories.
Sige po. Salamat, Secretary. I also agree na yung farmers natin are our food security frontliners, and that's why we are hoping that the department programs will ensure both adequate number and quality employment opportunities para sa ating mga workers. Now, speaking of extending assistance to workers in the agricultural sector, yung DA po ba already resolved the issues with the registry system for basic sectors in agriculture? I remember last year sa budget hearing with Senator Villar as the chair, this was raised, kasama rin po ng Philippine Institute of Development Studies, that there was no validation of the accuracy of information in the RSBSA. I just wanted to find out ano na yung status po ngayon, kung ayos na po.
Madam Chair, Senator Joel, you know, during these first 6 months of the year, where the RFFA and SRF were being given, there were challenges in regard to the use of the Farmers Registry initially. But we continued the purging or cleansing the Farmers Registry, and that will be still a major activity of the department, because we want to have a very foolproof Farmers Registry. Marami pa rin mga nakalista na hindi naman tamang farmers.
May I interject there? May I interject? In your Bayanihan 2, there is a provision for RSBSA. Is that the same thing?
Yes,
200 million. Oo,
Yes.
para dito. And I want you to explain this. So maybe we can explain you can do a briefer in writing, and then we can give it to Senator Joel.
We will.
200 million budget for RSBSA. Okay. This is the registry. Is this the registry of farmers? Okay.
Farmers Registry po. Tama po.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That's a great idea, because again, how we can ensure that all farmer beneficiaries are given yung adequate assistance and promptly. Kung wala po at hindi nare-resolve itong issue to, I think this is very important, Madam Chair, Mr. Secretary. Now, kanina, Mr. Secretary, I think Senator Kiko made mention about yung credit programs to farmers under Bayanihan 1, Bayanihan 2. But let me talk about something else, kasi parang every time we hear yung programs and assistance, always I for instance would always hear yung farmers, etc. Pero pag tinignan po natin itong July 2020 Labor Force Survey, we note po that while the number of workers in the agricultural sector, forestry subsector increased by 11%, and 11.7% po yan, the number of workers employed naman in fishing and aquaculture declined by 21.2%. It's the same period no? So may we know, Mr. Secretary, how many fisher folks have been given assistance in Bayanihan 1, Bayanihan 2, and other than credit, meron po ba tayong ibang programs? I've been getting a lot of letters po from our fisher folks, and parang yung dating ko sa kanila, parang mas napapaboran yung mga farmers than fisher folks. Sabi ko, I will raise this, kaya I wanted to raise this question this morning, Secretary.
Okay, doon po sa social protection, social amelioration po, hindi po nabigyan nung una ang mga mangingisda, mas lalo na yung pobreng-pobre. Dito po sa Bayanihan 2, mayroon nakalaan doon sa social protection na 4 billion pesos, at bibigyan po natin yung mga poorest of the poor, yung mga fisher folk, yung coconut farmers, yung corn farmers, yung upland farmers. So first time mabigyan. Now on top of that, yung PAR budget, yun doon na manggagaling yung iba't ibang assistance or mga iba't ibang proyekto sa kanayunan. So that will be part of the discussion that we will have. Maybe in another day dito po, because I believe that Bayanihan 1 and Bayanihan 2 are the very focus of today's discussion.
Secretary, you're talking about the 4 billion and it cuts across all sectors. So hindi lang po fisher folks, kasama yung coconut farmers, kasama pa rin po yung farmers doon sa 4 billion. Kasi you made mention na nung Bayanihan 1, wala
Nakikita ko
po
yung mga baka.
sa fisher folks.
Sino ba? Will you please mute your ano?
Ading nagsasalita pa rin eh.
Oh, sino ba yung ading na yun? Di ba program na yung ading? I saw in your Bayanihan 2 a program of ading. What is ading?
Ma'am, yung adding is a good governance program that we will institutionalize for everyone to be properly monitored. These are mostly from the outside of DA. Adding is an acronym called Agriculture Dialogue and Information Network Groups. In English, we call it integrity circles. So yun po ay lahat all over the country. This is part of our good governance mechanism.
They're always talking eh. It's disturbing us. The
Walang integrity.
that ading is always talking. And it has a 100 million budget. They're always talking. Maybe we should remove their 100 million budget. Bayanihan too. My God, they're talking and it's so loud. We cannot understand each other. Oh, they're always talking. It's ading who's talking. Oh.
Going back, Secretary, you made mention.
Sino ba nakakonekta dyan na iba?
Secretary, siguro yung clarification lang dun sa 4 billion that you were talking about for Bayanihan 2, it cuts across all sectors, fisher folks, coconut farmers. Hindi lang po, kasi yung sa Bayanihan 1, hindi ko kasama yung fisher folks.
Rice farmers.
Ang Bayanihan 1.
Okay.
So the others.
Sige po, and other than
I want to inform you, Senator Joel, that they have a budget in Bayanihan 2, aquaculture hatcheries, 500 million for aquaculture. So we will look into that, where it will go. Please make a report on that. Aquaculture hatcheries, 500 million.
Sige po, Madam Chair, I will actually just wrap up my questions there, and I will just await for the submission of the data, because I think this is very important. But more than anything, Madam Chair, Secretary, let me remind you po, yung Bayanihan 2 will expire December 31, 2020. And that is why, kung titignan nyo, lahat po kami dito, we wanted to monitor and ensure na maro-roll out po ito at makatulong po kaagad as soon as possible. Nandito kami para supportahan kayo, but we're also here to make sure na ma-roll out po kaagad yung mga programa ng ating pamahalaan at makatulong sa ating agricultural sector. Maraming salamat po. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Secretary.
Thank you, Senator Joel.
Thank you po.
Chair,
We now recognize Senator Amy Marcos. Nawala ka kasi.
Sorry, nagkakaproblema ko ng internet. Pasensya po. In any case, thank you for the patience and forbearance of my good Vice Chair and Chairwoman of Agriculture, our Secretary, Secretary Will. Ang pangunahing problema ng pangmagsasaka ngayon ay yung bagsak ng presyo ng palay na tulad ng nakaraang taon, tinulungan namin na medyo emergency. Alam naman natin na mangyayari ito dahil nagbukas nga ng importation pagkatapos sa nahirapan sa COVID. Wala naman po ako nakikita sa Bayanihan 2 na addresses, support prices, or in some way helping our farmers, aside from what Senator Joel discussed, which was the SHOP as well as the loans for the Sure Aid. Anong magagawa natin dito? At eto nga, alam naman natin na bababa yung presyo ng palay sa dinami ng dagsa ng imported. Ano bang magagawa natin para sa ating farmers? We are continuously urging them to mechanize, become more competitive and efficient. But given the low prices today, I think they need some level of support once again. What can we do about this?
Okay, Madam Chair, Senator Amy, magandang umaga po.
Yes.
Unang-una, talagang yung Bayanihan 2 ay magbibigay tayo. No. Let me recast, reboot.
Opo.
Doon sa mayroon doon sa taripa na discuss na namin kanina kay Madam
Yes,
Chairman.
yes. I've heard that. Opo.
So, kinakasapo natin yung plano, plano po natin. Kung mayroon na sobra doon sa taripa na, ay pwede na ipamigay doon sa mga apektado na mga farmers na mayroon 1 hektarya pababa. So, yun po ang kinakasapo natin. Pangalawa, dito sa Bayanihan 2, mayroon din 4.5 billion for rice resiliency project plus the other parts of our National Rice Program ay marami pong ayuda para sa mga magsasaka in the form of machineries, of course RCEP kasama yan,
Yes.
yung seeds,
But you also
fertilizer.
have your regular rice program po.
We have 5 billion. It says here 5 billion for rice resiliency program in Bayanihan 2.
That's right po. But there's also a regular rice program, di ba? Outside of Bayanihan 2 and outside of RCEF.
Yes.
Total, it might come to about 7 billion for rice program this dry season planting.
Yes, Mr. Secretary, in all these different funds, are we able to get some specific sums to address the crisis in the plummeting rice prices?
Okay, ganito po, let me identify the existing measures that we are trying to do. Number one, NFA po ay mayroon siyang 10 billion na budget for procuring palay. So yung 10 billion,
Still at 19 pesos po because that's a really good price.
tama po, 19 pesos yan, farm gate price, dry and clean, 14% moisture content.
Sure content, okay.
So, ito ay pinapabilisin natin. So, mayroon tayo yung buy, mill and sell, plus rollover. Para mas marami sila mabili, hindi lang 10 billion pesos worth of palay, baka may multiplier effect na another 10 billion. So, yun po ang pinapaigting natin sa NFA. Number two, marami na rin mga provincial local governments.
Ay, yung LGU. Yeah, yung mga LGU procurement po.
Tama po.
Kaso, Secretary, yung mga LGU naghihikaos na eh. Talagang sagad na rin sila sa COVID eh. Kaya yung procurement, may menos yan in the next few months. At kapos-kapos na rin.
Senator Amy, they can borrow, ha? I know yung LGUs, they borrow from Land Bank to use as for procurement.
Mayroon tayo sa Land Bank po.
Even the DBP po. Kaya lang, yung mga LGU, nagwa-wind down sila sa borrowing for procurement dahil malaki-laki na rin ang nautang eh.
Opo, pero malaking a good number of LGUs po ay nandun pa rin sila, tumutulong. On top of that po, mayroon yung mga malalaking mga multi-purpose cooperatives na bumibili na rin ng palay. Now, dito rin sa Kadiwa program, we are facilitating po para yung mga rice from FCAs ay mabenta din dito sa metro areas.
Yes,
Madam Chairman,
but I recall that during the summer months when the Kadiwa was launched, you said that the DA had no mandate to buy back from farmers aside from the rights of NFA, yung mga vegetables and other crops. The DA was incapable of buying back. Only the NFA can buy back from farmers.
let me explain, Madam Senator, Madam Chair. Yung Kadiwa main responsibilities to mix and match. So, catalytic. Pero, ngayon ay sa fruits and vegetables ay buyer of last resort. Under sa Gipsaka, pwede rin kami bumili. So, ganun po ang mangyayari. Ang katungkulan ng Kadiwa ngayon ay catalytic mix and match, linking the producers to the market. Mayroon po akong isang...
How big has your reach been? How many people have you actually reached with Kadiwa? Because some were complaining but syempre bago lang kasi at saka COVID naman na lockdown. Some were complaining na medyo erratic yung schedule.
hindi ko po nakuha yung tanong po. Pakiulit.
No, would you have any numbers po, Apo Secretary, about Kadiwa? How many people have actually been served? Ano yung reach ninyo? Kasi medyo erratic yung schedule.
Okay, lumalaki naman po yung aming outcome. Ngayon ay nakarating na sa 6 billion pesos worth of mix and match na galing producers na namamatch dito sa iba't ibang merkado. On top of that,
You're saying, Mr. Secretary, na yung DA bumibili ng 6 billion sa Kadiwa?
Kadiwa. Mix and match.
Mix and match process. Catalytic lang po. Kami yung nagli-link ng producers sa merkado.
Pero ano yung 6 billion pesos?
Yun ang naipagbili na.
Pero nabenta
Ito na yung total transactions. Total transactions.
I'm sorry?
Ito yung total transactions as a result of this mix and match process.
But you are not actually buying. Kasi yun ang parating tinatanong ng mga Cordillera, Ilocos Farmers, Central Luzon Farmers.
Maghahanap ng buyer.
Wala raw
Maghahanap ng buyer para bumili sa mga farmers. Yun ang trabaho ng Kadiwa. Maghanap ng buyer na bibili sa farmer. Is that how you explain it?
Tama po. At saka yung mga trading post na, ang ginawa po natin, di ba, sa Benguet and Nueva Vizcaya sa Bamban, ay buyer of last resort na sila. Bibigyan, pautangin po namin sila para mayroon pambili sila as a buyer of last resort.
But in short, Secretary, hindi pa rin bumibili ang DA maliban sa NFA ng bigas. Ang DA I'm sorry.
Negligible po yun. Negligible pa yung binibili kami. Sa vegetables
you can buy naman sa Gipsaka, you just said. Why don't you buy if you're allowed to?
Well, we have to have the capital, the budget to do that.
Right now, sa 2021, walang item na gano'n, ano?
Wala pa po. Not unless under discussions ay pwede kayong maglaan ng buying capital of the DA.
I see. So you have no budget to buy. The concern also here is that dito yung pinakamalaking item yata ninyo, yung biggest single item in the Bayanihan 2 package is the rice resiliency for dry season. Ang problema, naglalaninya na po tayo ngayon pa lang. So, it's not just rice. Ang dami pong natatamaan. Is there a La Nina program? Because I fail to see it in either B2 or even in the GAA 2021.
Sa GA 2021 po, mayroon tayong mga banner programs na para dun sa La Nina po. Mayroon.
What may I know what they are, for example? Kasi hinahanap po ng namin lahat eh.
Naka-include na sir sa regular program.
Let me again mention
I saw a lot of dry season regular programs, but that's very much business as usual. It hardly addresses the La Nina that is already upon us.
now, ang isang gusto namin po sana mangyari doon sa kung minarapat po ang Senado at Kongreso sa House of Representatives, doon po sa stimulus package ay mayroon pang balance po na 42 billion at much of that will be for rainwater harvesting. Sana mabigyan po natin ng mas marami pang budget ng rainwater harvesting because this will mitigate itong La Nina also. Even we can really harvest more water for the dry season.
May I interject? Why don't you do that in your rice resiliency program? Yung sinasabi ko na isama nyo doon yung small irrigation Kasi hindi naman nagagawa ng NIA yun, no? Ba't hindi nyo isama sa rice resiliency nyo yun?
Madam Chair and Senator Amy, mayroon rin quick response fund na 1 billion pesos para sa next year to cover yung La Nina. Opo.
I see. I'm wondering, sir, what are you referring to as the stimulus balance of 42 billion? Aling stimulus po yun?
66 kasi na.
Ito kasi nung suna po ng ating mahal na Pangulo nung suna, and he mentioned categorically that the sector of agriculture needs a stimulus package of 66 billion.
Right.
So na mayroon nang naaprubahan na 24 billion under Bayanihan 2. So yung balanse po na 42, kung pwede natin madagdag sana dito sa NEP, ay mas malaki po tayong magawa in terms of rainwater harvesting, in terms of many other irrigation facilities na small irrigation system para sa ating agrikultura.
I see. Pero wala pa yung 42 billion na sinasabi po ninyo na nabanggit lang sa SONA.
Wala na ang pere.
Mayroon po kami.
So wala pa po yun. Yung rainwater harvest na sinasabi, hahanapan pa ng pera ni Vice Chair. Ganun po? Tama po yun.
Ganun po.
May quick response fund daw sila na 1 billion eh.
Pero at the rate things are going, masama yung La Nina. We're looking forward kasi alam natin na si Secretary Will talagang expert sa semi-arid cultivation. So we're really counting on him. Pero kung wala nga ang suporta, mukhang mahihirapan na naman tayo niyan. How much have you actually received from Bayanihan 2 po?
24B.
Wala pa po. 24.
Alam ko 24B kasi kasama kami lahat nung BICAM, pero tinatanong ko, how much has actually gone into the treasury of DA? Wala pa?
Wala pa po.
Zero pa lang.
Tapos wala silang listahan kung saan nila gagawin, dadalhin. So, kaya nga sinasabi ko, gawin nyo na yung listahan para pagdating ng pera, meron kayong pagdadalan kasi very vague din yung kanilang program, walang detalye.
Yun na nga, kaya nga gusto natin, pagdating ng pera, implement kagad kasi aabutin na tayo ng katapusan at higit sa lahat, may balak pa tayo humingi ng karagdagan sa NEP dahil nga itong La Nina tatama sa atin, yun nga itatanong ko. Last na po yung tungkol sa poultry. Kasi due to the loss of demand associated with the closures of restaurants and hotels, bagsak talagang presyo ng poultry, nagdadaing yung ating mga local poultry owners na abutan pa sila nakatakot-takot ng import. Ano pa ang nagagawa natin sa poultry sa kasalukuyan?
Opo, mayroon dun sa 4 billion na ibibigay po natin ng cash and food assistance. Bali, we are targeting 751,000 farmers, iba't ibang areas. At magbibigay po tayo ng...
Secretary, ang haba na ng listahan dyan sa 4 billion na yan. Narinig ko rin kay Senator Joel yan. May Fisher Folk, may Coconut, may Upland Remote. Ngayon, kapalang poultry, patay tayo yan.
Yeah, I'm just enumerating what we can. Meanwhile, good Senator.
Opo.
So, kasama doon sa 5,000, so 3,000 cash, 2,000 pambili nila ng bigas kasi matumal yung paglabas eh. Ganon din sa poultry, we need to prop up. So yung 1,000 pesos, they can buy chicken or egg. So this is a substantial investment, propping up the poultry industry at the same time giving cash and food assistance to the poorest of the poor. Now, next one is dito po sa Bayanihan 2, mayroon iba't ibang mga multiplier, breeder and multiplier farms para sa livestock and poultry. So matutulungan po natin sila din doon sa banda na yan.
Yeah, nakita ko na may 500 million, pero sa sari na to, may small ruminant, may swine, may poultry. Tama po.
Tama po.
Pero anong magagawa natin tungkol sa imported? Kasi yun ang daing nila. Hindi na nga mabenta yung local, todo pa rin ang import.
Ang ginagawa po natin ay yung whole chicken na ini-import, talagang matagal na kami hindi nagpaparating.
Okay.
Talagang we are talking to the importers not to bring in now na bagsak ang poultry industry. So whole chicken, walang dating po yon.
Pero yung parts, yung thighs, wings, etc., sige pa rin.
Yun, kasi papuntang processing yon, hindi sa wet market.
Others for processing, sabi nila, inilulusot daw yung mga whole chicken.
Oo, palaging ganun eh.
Inilulusot lang naman yung mga whole chicken sa most desirable parts, yung thigh, yung wings, the usual.
Well, again, kung nilulusot ay kung nakita namin, kukonpiskaan po natin.
Yeah, kasi eto nga, sana mas closer rin ang ties ninyo sa customs kasi tuloy-tuloy pa rin ang dagsa at eto yung sinusumbong. Maraming po salamat. Thank you very much, Madam Vice Chair, Apo Secretary. We look forward to the submission of the information so mabawasan na tayo ng tanong sa plenary. Maraming salamat po.
Madam Chair, Josona Yagnina po sa Naimi.
Okay. Thank you, Senator Amy. We now recognize Senator Mig Subiri.
Hi, hello, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Chair, to my colleagues, to Secretary Dar. Magandang umaga po, Sec.
Good morning po, Madam Chair, Sen Mig.
Yeah, actually, nagkasabay tayo sa OP. So when they called me, they're calling OP na rin, and I'm supposed to ask a question sa OP. But yung akin lang, Sec, bilang galing, alam niyo po, ako po yung taga Bukidnon, taga Mindanao. Ganon din po yung problema natin. Ang problema natin ay ang presyo ng mais, napakababa. Talagang umiiyak po yung ating mga farmers dito sa presyo. Aside from palay, no, and it was already raised by Ma'am Cynthia, so I'm not going to bring that up anymore. Corn producers, you know, Bukidnon is one of the largest producers of corn and in the Philippines, and that is a big problem with them now. Umiiyak talaga sila. Pag umuikot po ako ng towns ko, nalapitan talaga ako ng mga tao, and they said talagang halos lugi talaga sila na yun. Mas mahal pa daw yung isang sakong fertilizer kaysa kanila mga ani. So, are we doing any steps for that, Sec, to help our farmers in Mindanao and the rest of the country, particularly on the issue of the low prices of corn? I know it's supply and demand. It really is the same problem. Before they plant, mataas ang presyo. Ang daming magtatanim, nagko-convert sila ng lupa from, if they were planting high value, biglang nagmais sila dahil syempre alam naman po natin, bago mag-harvest, mataas ang presyo. Pag-harvest nila lahat, bagsakan ng presyo. Again, law of supply and demand. Is there a way that we can find buyers for our farmers, intermediate, all these I guess the harvesting and the selling, or create some storage for the farmers so that we can store it after 1 month, tumataas na naman po ang presyo eh. So, is there any thing that we can do, Sec?
Yeah, we are one with you, Madam Chair, Senator Migs, in wanting to help the corn farmers nationwide. Number one, presently, nag-mix and match rin tayo ngayon na we are meeting the PAPMI group regularly. And they have been able to buy 160,000 metric tons already. Another group that have bought from our local producers ay ang San Miguel Corporation, 400,000 metric tons. Now, ang pinaka-problema natin, alam naman natin lahat, ay yung walang mga post-harvest facilities, walang malalaking warehouses at cold storages, and that's why doon sa stimulus package po, kung mamarapatin po ninyo, ay malaki po ang nilalaan natin na budget para sa corn industry development. Mas lalo na doon sa mga malalaking infrastruktura na pangangailangan ng ating mga corn producers. So, ganun po ang pananaw natin. At number two ay yung cash and food aid assistance ay magbibigay rin tayo ngayon On top of that, yung poultry ay yung corn, okay, yung corn ay kumakain of course. Yung poultry, yung manok kumakain ng corn, so kasama na rin yun. Propping up the industry, they have to buy chicken, ito doon sa mga poorest of the poor. Of course, yung demand ng corn will also be very positive. So, ang problema talaga po, also, we need to encourage yung mga corn farmers na naging collective, asosasyon, mga kooperatiba, para doon na sila mabigyan ng malalaking tulong in terms of warehouses and cold storages po.
May I request, where is the budget here of what you're talking about in your Bayanihan 2? Wala po ako nakikitang budget dito sa storage.
Madam Chair, hindi kasama po yung corn dyan, pero kasama po doon sa listahan namin ng 42 billion na nasubmit na sa DBM. So we will give you also a listing of that.
That's what you are expecting, that they will give additional.
Tama po.
You should not hope for that because I think limited ang capability ngayon ng DBM to give additional budget. So, bakit hindi nyo nalang tanggalan yung ibang dito? Iba yung i-postpone nyo lang. Like you have here, the business incubation in agriculture, 500 million. Parang hindi naman timely ito. Parang mga vague naman to. Ano ba yung itong ading, good governance, palagi na lang tayong good governance, gawan nyo na lang to ng project. Itong mga iba dito na puro concept, wala namang walang project that will go into it.
Yeah. So yung problema kasi natin, Madam Chair, dun sa pondo, I think, Secretary, it would also be good maybe to organize, baka the DA through its technical expertise can also organize maybe through co-ops itong mga corn farms. Kasi I noticed they're the ones that are in Mindanao, yung Batangas co-ops, yung Batangas farmers, yung Isabela farmers, they're all very organized. Pero I notice dito sa Mindanao, watak-watak sila, Sec.
Tama.
O di ba po, Sec? Parang solo flight sila. They like to do solo flight.
We will strongly do active or institutional development this time around. We are following po yung farm consolidation and clustering. So that will be leading to that po.
Opo, that's a big help, sir, kasi it's easier for, let's say, San Miguel, it's easier for buyers to talk to bigger co-ops and selling them bigger amounts rather than tag-isa-isa. Yun po yung nangyayari dyan, Sec, sa amin eh. Farmers of 2 hectares, 3 hectares, they sell it to the traders. And then, of course, the traders are killing them with the farm gate prices. Umaabot nga ng, imagine yung dried corn sa Bukidnon, in some areas, yung na po siya, yung milled na po, naka-thresher na, ay 9 pesos per kilo. Can you imagine how low 9 pesos per kilo is, Secretary? Talagang umiiyak yung mga farmers natin. Baka you can help by sending technicians to start organizing them into bigger groups.
Madam Chair, Senator Mix, we will start doing that now. As a matter of fact, continuous ang discussion po namin with PAPMI, which is requiring all the corn, and they want contract growing. So we are going to connect collectively, farmers who are in collective, para they can have a better leverage in terms of the prices in the future. So nandyan, contract growing, Pilmico, Aboitiz, these are all helping us. Pero ang tama yung sinabi po ninyo, ang sinasabi ng PAPMI at saka lahat itong bumibili, hindi organize ang mga corn farmers natin sa Mindanao. But we will help them organize themselves now, Mr. Chairman. Madam Chairman, San Mix.
Thank you, sir.
Senator Mix, they have a budget of 100 million to organize under Bayanihan 2. 100 million. Where will you bring this? In Mindanao? The 100 million budget for farm and fisheries clustering and consolidation.
That will be, we can give priority to Mindanao po.
Thank you po. Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, yun lang po. I don't have any... I'm fully supportive of the DA. Alam mo, you know, I'm a plantito not only because I grow plants in my garden, but I'm also a farmer, educated and by profession. So I fully support the DA. Yun lang, Sec. At tapos tinawagan kita. Thank you for the action that you took on the importation of the chicken products. Kasi alam mo, again, Bukidnon also in the northern Mindanao, we have a lot of chicken growers. All the big names are here. San Miguel, yung yung ano ba yan? Yung isa, yung Bounty Fresh, Gama, so many other big producers are here. So pag nanonotice nila, marami po mga binibenta, mga parts sa merkado, talagang imported, talagang affected po lahat ng operations ng mga tao. It's a big industry here in Northern Mindanao. And so, yun lang may concern sa SEC. It's basically corn and probably a control on the importation of too much of these parts. Kasi minsan, technical smuggling po sila, SEC. It's not smuggling per se, but they changed the ano ba yan, yung kanyang status ng importation. Opo. Manifest, ginagawa po nilang parts na pwedeng ipasok pero nahahaluan po ng prime cuts. So nangyari, talagang kawawa yung mga growers natin, Sec. That's why I'm glad that you took action. Kinausap niyo po yung Bureau of Animal BAI yata, di ba po, nag-issue ng mga importation certifications?
Opo. By MBPI in relation to the requirements of the chicken industry.
Salamat po for that, Sec. I appreciate that completely. And ikaw lang talaga pag-asa ng mga farmers namin dito. So I hope you can step up yung organization ng small farmers and then yung sa smuggling technical smuggling ng parts. Salamat, Sec.
Salamat po.
Thank
Kasi
you.
lahat ng complaint is falling prices because of competition from importation. Bakit hindi bawasan yung importation? Import pa rin kayo ng import. Bakit ganon? Hello, Secretary Dar, nadidinig ba ako?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Naririnig.
Ba't hindi nyo bigyan mo ng nabawasan yung importation kung lahat ng complaint is falling prices? Di bawasan nyo yung importation, parang tulong sa ating kababayan. Bakit hindi mo mapigil yung mga agency mo na mag-import?
Ganun na nga po ang sinasabihan ko sila. Huwag mo na mag-issue ng import clearance, mas lalo na during the main harvest. Ganun.
Napakadali naman yun eh.
Madam Chair, meron na akong ipapakita ngayon. Meron po ako dito, no? I have an import permit, certificate of meat inspection of imported meat for domestic distribution, galing Netherlands po. This was only dated, bago lang po ito 8/18/20. Yun nga po, it's sent to Cagayan de Oro, which actually brought down the prices of meat sa Cagayan de Oro. I'll forward it to you, Sec. Baka you can check it out. It was issued by your National Meat Inspection Service. I think that is under the DA. So, baka Sec, pwede mong i-clamp down ito mga unnecessary importation na ito. Baka it's not really good for our economy. Lalo na ngayon, we have to buy local, Sec, kasi tama tayo ngayon, pandemic, unahin natin yung mga magsasaka namin. Yan po ang adikain ni Tita Cynthia, ni Madam Chair, and Ma'am Amy and Nancy and the group, no, we're promoting talaga to buy local. Oo, kasi
lahat na lang ang complaint oversupply and high and low prices. Bakit hindi pigilin yung importation? May conflict kasi between yung nag-i-import na agency. Gusto nila maraming importation. Alam naman natin ang reason doon. Pero pinapatay naman yung mga local farmers. Paano ba yun? At this time, tutulong na tayo. Hindi na yung
Tama po, ma'am. We will really monitor them religiously para the guideline would be that alamin namin lahat yung production period, mas lalo na harvest time sa mais at even rice. So hindi magbigay ng clearances way ahead. So
I sent you, Sec, Madam Chair, pinadala ko na kay Sec Dar yung sulat. This was given to me, it was leaked to me by the producers. local producers. Naawa lang ako talaga sa kanila. So I sent it to you na, sir. Baka you can take
Salamat
action.
po. Salamat po.
Thank you po. Thank you, Madam Chair. Salamat po.
Okay. So, no more questions?
Madam Chair?
Yeah, Senator Binay.
Siguro pahabol lang ho, Madam Chair, kasi nabasa ko din sa isang submission ng DA, yung mga budget, how much is the total budget for research ho? Kasi nakita ko meron kayong
Search.
research on transboundary plant diseases. 50 million ho ba to?
Yun po sa Bayanihan to
234 million.
ito po ay para doon sa strength natin ng mga transboundary plant pests, plant diseases. So, yung kagaya po ng pole armyworm, yung mga iba't ibang plant diseases kagaya po sa banana, Fusarium wilt, ay
Pero, Sec, wala ho ba to sa regular budget nyo?
wala pa po. Yung mga ganun na bagong diseases.
Okay,
Wala pa. But this is Center for Transboundary Diseases. Magtatayo kayo ng center o what?
Ito po, doon sa animal po, yes, center with the operations po. At kailangan na sa African swine fever ang pinaka-problema natin ngayon sa animal diseases.
So magtatayo ka ng center. Kaya 234 million. Saan mo gagawin tong center mo?
Sa bandang Central Luzon State University po silang mag-host.
Etong plant disease na 50 million, saan naman to?
Ito po ibibigay natin sa National Crop Protection Center ng UP Los Baños po kasi yun po ang tukan nila sa research sa crop protection.
UP Los Baños.
Opo po.
Yun yung sinasabi ko na wala naman description to, walang nakakaintindi nito. And then there is another one, Worm Project. Where is the location of this? 100 million. Ano to?
Yung pole armyworm, ma'am, is a nationwide problem now. So every region will receive that. Divide sa region.
Etong Regional Crop Protection Centers, 470 million.
Yun, ma'am, kailangan na i-upgrade natin yung capacities para lahat itong mga bagong problema sa mga peste at mga diseases ng plants. Napabayaan po lahat ito for the last 20 years.
Saan ito pupunta? 470 million.
Every region, ma'am, ay mayroon isang RCPC. So
Meron ng existing.
Yeah, that's why we will upgrade.
How many regions? 470 divided what? By what?
16, ma'am, 16.
So parang ano to? 160, 320. Parang ano to? 40, ano ba to? 16 times 4 million, ganun ba yon? Hindi.
750 million divided by 15.
No, 470 million divided by 16.
23 million kada region, ma'am.
23M. Bakit? Yung kanilang protection center, meron lahat sila, yung 16?
Tama po kayo.
Oh. Nasaan to? Ibigay nyo sa amin listahan kung nasaan to para tong mga senator, titingnan nila doon sa mga region nila.
We will.
Sa list. Oo. Nung ko pa to hinihingi, yung listahan para mahanap nila kung nasaan to Oo.
And Madam Chair, ang concern ko lang din Secretary Dar, kasi ayaw natin na nag-overlap yung functions, lalo na sa research. And in fact, kasi on DOST, meron din silang sariling research program and even yung mga SUC. So siguro baka maganda na magkaroon kayo ng convergence para hindi magdoble yung effort when it comes to research.
Tama po kayo, Madam Chair, Senator Binay. Mayroon pong mga tinatawag na mekanismo na walang duplication po para ma-avoid natin ang duplication.
Okay.
Kaya pinalilist namin to kasi hindi namin maintindihan to kung nasaan to And then, what is this RIARCs? Ano ba to?
ito rin ma'am yung every region ng DA mayroon research center every region at napabayaan rin for the last 20 years. So
Ito, research center na yung isa, research center pa ito, 750 million.
ito po divided by 16 regions po 'yon. Kasi
Pag Bayanihan to ba, ito ang paggagawin natin. Parang ito dapat nasa regular budget to. Pag Bayanihan to, hindi ba para tumulong sa ating mga kababayang nagkakaproblema, hindi naman para ito i-upgrade ngayon lahat. Bakit sa Bayanihan to nyo nilagay ito?
ma'am, minabuti natin ma'am kasi matagal na they can be more responsive to helping our farmers during the pandemic.
Parang tutulong nila ang problema ng ating mga farmer market, 'di ba? Puro na lang falling prices, 'di ba? 'Yun ang problem pag recession, 'di ba?
Madam Chair, siguro padagdag na lang din. Kasi Secretary Dar, itong Bayanihan 2 may maglalapse na to by December. So kung may part to na magko-construct, baka hindi umabot at masayang yung pondo.
We are cognizant of that po and we will be guided.
December 19, no? Baka palo. Ako kasi, sawang-sawa na ako sa ganyan. Wala naman yan. Mas gusto ko pa yung program na lang para sa mga farmer natin kaysa mga ganyan. Puro ganyan Tapos wala namang nangyayari. Anyway, that's 750 million tsaka yung isa 234 million. That's ito lang tatlong to, 1 billion na to 1 billion na to. Anyway, parang hindi pambayanihan niya. Parang regular budget yan. Anyway, I guess you have to make this list. Lahat sila, yun ang sinasabi ko sa iyo, Secretary, na hindi mo pwedeng ibigay sa amin na ganitong description to tapos walang detalye to. Kailangan nasaan ba to? Saan gagawin to? Ano ba to? May hindi ko nga maintindihan. May isa pa dito, Maya. Ano yung Maya? MAYA.
Ito naman po, Madam Chair, yung ang ibig sabihin po yan, mentoring and attracting young agripreneurs.
Meron ka ng business incubation, itong 500 million mo, tapos hindi pa ba yun i-cover nitong Maya na to? May iba pa sa youth. Meron ka ng business incubation in agriculture na 500 million, tapos meron pang sa youth. Hindi ba isa lang yun? Hindi ba pag nag-business incubation ka, kasama na yung youth? Ito nga, kino-question ko to. Ano ba gagawin dito sa business incubation na to na 500 million? I would like you to do projects, program for the, itong mga ganito, very, lumilipad pa sa hangin to. Wala namang, ipakikita nyo sa amin dito na performance sa business incubation. At saka dyan sa Maya na yan. At saka yung ading na yan.
Opo, yung
Parang puro concept yan na wala ka namang makikita. Ano ba nangyari doon sa And that is more than almost $1 billion na yan. Walang puro sasabihin nyo, nag-meeting kayo, hindi naman pwede mag-meeting, webinar lang. And yet, ang laki-laki, 500 million. Bakit hindi nyo na lang idagdag dito yan sa dito sa social protection na 4 billion na ang bibigyan nyo marginalized farmers. Sabi nga ni Amy, bibigyan nyo ang ang dami-dami nyong bibigyan, fishermen, coconut farmer, yung mga corn farmer, lahat may problema. Ba't hindi nyo na lang idagdag doon at saka na lang kayo magganito pag hindi pandemic? Kasi lahat sila nag-SOS na nahihirapan yung mga farmer, naghihirap. So yung mga ganito, hindi ko makita kasi ang Maya and business incubation, and yung youth, medyo bawasan nyo yung ganito, bigay nyo na lang na financial aid. Tingin ko kukulangin yung 4 billion na yun. Kasi nung sa rice, nagbigay kayo ng 3 billion only for rice. Ang coconut farmer, kasi dami ng rice. 4 billion to, kasama pa yung fisheries, kasama pa yung corn farmers. Paano magkakasya to? Upland farmers. Baka hindi magkasya to. Sana magbago kayo ng konti dito para damihan nyo yung social protection kasi yun, kailangan nila.
Sige po, ma'am.
Yun ang complaint nila eh. Saka na lang tayo mag-webinar and mga maya-maya. Sa na lang yan.
Sige po, ma'am.
Ibigay mo dito sa social protection kasi yung 4 billion, tingin ko, 3 billion sa rice farmers. Itong bibigyan mo dito, mas marami pa to sa rice farmers eh. Coconut farmer is kasi rami ng rice farmer yan eh.
Yes, ma'am.
Di 3 billion na rin yun. Paano yung fishermen? At saka yung mga livestock, yung mga poultry na naghihingalo. Kasi 65% of our livestock farmer are backyard farmers.
Tama po.
Mahirap din yun. Yun lang. And then, I hope you will make the submission. Yun lang namang, lahat sila, humihingi sila ng submission. I took down notes on the submission that they want. I will summarize it and give it to you so that, of course, we have 2 more hearings of DA, yung inyong mismong the DA. This is for Bayanihan 1 and 2. We have meron kayo 42 billion. Then the budget of DA proper for 2021. Then we have NIA, we have Coconut, yung Philippine Coconut Authority, and BIFAR. Separate kasi yung hearing doon eh. Okay, sige.
Maraming salamat po. Maraming
Madam
salamat.
Chair, just
Yes.
additional submission kung hindi pa na-request ng mga kasamahan ko. Baka pwede yung mag-submit yung DA ng listahan ng mga lugar kung saan talaga tinamaan ng problema dahil sa COVID.
Okay. And what part of the DA industry?
Yes,
tinamaan?
kung anong produce
Ano yung
nila.
worst tama in terms of whatever, rice, livestock, or
Fish.
corn, or fish, para Okay.
Thank you po.
We are suspending the hearing of the Department of Agriculture. Okay.
Maraming salamat, ma'am.
Okay.